go that way.
Okay, it's recording.
We want to welcome. We've got myself, klanmother Karen lucyk macdonald here, and it is the 8th of March, apparently, 2016, and we're starting our first session here. So we've got Andrew. Anyway, and we're beaming out of the Saskatchewan Nations, otherwise known as Brockville here. And we're actually going to be doing, now this is very cool because we just started something. We decided to record it so that this could be put out. We'll just do a quick kind of an intro into what SCIO biofeedback is, what remote viewing is. Now, had Andrew been, with me, we actually have headbands like this that we can put onto people. And it's what we use if we were going to put something on and read your EEG or that kind of thing, a neural read.
Right.
Read your brain waves and stuff. We also have wristbands and blankets, if children want to lie on, or we put on animals. You put a horse blanket on or something. So there are many different ways to do this. This is the other application. It's called remote viewing. We call it subspace or long distance. So you can actually get to remote view yourself, which is kind of cool. So we call it access technology, which is what SCIO means. It means knowledge. It's a Greek word. So it's also known as a QXCI. In, as people think, Europe, and it's also known as the EFPX when it first came out by Dr. Bill Nelson, and now it's been upgraded. We have them called indigos, kind of like crystal indigo, and then the newest one they've got out of Budapest at Immune University is another one called the eDoctor. And we have been trained for over 10 years, and I was one of the original people that was out here. I used to go between Saskatoon and Vancouver Island and teach and train doctors and do open forums and expos and that sort of thing when it first came out. So I'm at it, and I've had it in my health center for over a decade and on the road, I might add. So it's been very pivotal. We've been able to see people get out of intensive cares. We've been able to see people hook up, get that information, and just make the shift themselves. So when we hook up and remote view, which is very cool to do, and you have an experience, almost every one of my clients, if they're sitting or lying down, they feel the shift. Something is different.
Yeah, I can feel it strong.
Okay. So what we did is we're just basically using the satellite system. We come down. All of us virtually are like radio stations, or we're cells. We can read you at a cellular level. We can read your brainwaves. This is just the physical, kind of our Earth suit. But everyone's got a soul and a soul imprint or a frequency like a radio station. So that's actually what we're doing. We're tapping into that. So right now we're just going to do testing. And if you're comfortable, just take some slight deep breaths. And we're going to start sending frequency or frequency-generated medicine. So very much like Royal Raymond Rife or scalar, we're doing that. We're tapping into the scalar feeds or the holographic fields and seeing where you are. And so what we do, it's going to start sending about 9,000 tests right now. So no different when I was a nurse in neonatal intensive care, and we did x-rays, we did ultrasounds, we did MRIs, we did CAT scans. It's very similar to an MRI and an ultrasound for most people to assimilate, because that's what's happening, Andrew, is we're bouncing signals off you. It's almost like two dolphins sending sonar waves back to each other.
Yeah, you can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah, and so we're always connected. If your different chakras are opened up, you're able to become, again, whether it's psionic or people think psychic or telepathic, those are the extrasensory perceptions. So some people, probably 99% of the people, can actually feel the shift when we start doing this. So I just want you to just be very open and just resting. And normally, like I said, when I do sessions for people, on Skype or otherwise, or phone or however we're doing it, or Facebook, they just lie down on the bed. So we talk for a few minutes, you go lie down for half an hour, we scan you and read it, like do all your lab. It's like doing, x-rays, labs, everything else. And it does 9,000 tests. So when I said, what do you want me to focus on? Do you want chakras? Do you want the medical part? Or do you want to look at the curling photography? Or I like to do the art and science of both. So
it's actually just as far as you want to go.
Yeah. Gas visualization. And we'll do a session maybe for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like I said, if people have had brain injury, autistic, memory loss, attention deficit, they're on antidepressants, we can actually start reactivating or regenerating different areas, because it's all sound wave. It's all, when you want to call light, it's really tone, it's timing, it's toning, it's sound. And so everything comes to a math code, and it's frequency. So your brain's got a certain frequency, your heart's got a certain frequency, and we can measure your rhythms and stuff, the EKG or, ECG or EEGs. And more importantly is we can send a, sound wave. Everyone's into solfeggio notes and, 4, 3, 2, and open your heart, or, open this or open that. We can actually send the frequencies of that, and we'll talk in future sessions. But the oils do that. The oils carry a certain frequency in hundreds of hertz. And so the first thing is to get people out of that 60 hertz little cage that they're in to start with.
Yeah.
And so to raise the frequency, we got to have no blocks. We got to be alkaline. We got to have that water and spring water flowing up and down. And once you get the water hydrating and flowing in the minerals, then we could play with the waves even better. So people don't feel a whole lot. Those are the sickest people we have, really. So,
Oh.
So right now, just tell me what you're feeling.
Like pressure, like not. It's like it's hard to explain. It's like sort of antsy, like, I don't know how to explain it, but I know it's different than before we started.
It is different than before. You'll never be the same once you've been in a session with me. No one ever is. Really what it is we're connecting actually different chakras and telepathically, and you're getting into I'm opening up the third eye. So I'm using the computer and the scalar waves as an extension of myself. That's really why it's a communication tool between you and I, if we were all telepathic. But it's you being able to read yourself, or you being able to do this. I do nothing. I just get to watch you heal yourself. It's really quite a, honor to do that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I consider it very
for me too.
Sacred, and we do things confidential. But a lot of people are open about what they have or whatever. They want to do it for teaching purposes, or they have their, loved ones in the same room.
Yeah.
It's up to you. We do cats, dogs, and horses now, and camels have been done. And I used to run a medical center, so all my staff were basically trained, most of them in this. So we all did oils with young living. We all did raindrop. We did Iridology. We did Shotai, which was like traditional Chinese medicine, face reading, Iridology, basically acupressure, Vitaflux, and many of us were trained in the biofeedback, myself, Galen Ray, Barb Anderson, a few other people. So when I was in Saskatoon, that was the largest amount of concentrated practitioners anywhere on the planet, actually. It's also interesting because that's where the medicine wheel of peace is. I think I was kickstarting that for a while.
Like I said, though, since we're doing this for education, just go as far as you want,
Yeah, this is for education purposes, basically. We don't diagnose, and I don't treat. So it's really for sharing of information is what we're doing.
Right.
And you're learning to access our technology. And this is one of my gifts of healing I do for myself and my children. And that's why I do it free, and that's why we can do it gift or, that kind of thing, something sharing or whatever. Right up here is what we call the VAR hope, give people hope or peace. VAR, the V stands for volts, which is your adrenal function. So it's about 93 right now. The amps are at 51, and that means your neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, that kind of thing. That's brain function. How bright are you? 65 is the resistance, means toxic load. Hydration is 70 in there. So again, I'm wanting numbers that are like at least 85, 90, 95, 99. These people think 100%. I really want them flowing. So when I start seeing, let's say, the neurotransmitters, you might be getting there, but it means everything comes down to the colon to digestive function. There's something there called the Peyer's patches and different things, but that's where the breakdown of all the chemistry is. Your entire alchemical processes is in the kitchen, is in the guts.
Right.
And so if you don't feel lousy and you feel sad and you feel depressed and you feel whatever, or you feel heart stuff or guts, or you got a foot infection or whatever it might be, or eye or ear, it always comes down usually to the guts. And that's why I'm a colon hydrotherapist, because that way you decolonize people.
Right.
So it just migrates up, doctors, the oncologists used to say, oh, it metastasized up this cancer thing. Well, I would just say you've got a candida infection, you got a blockage here, and, let's just unblock it and get down to what the root of the cause is. So this is what we're looking at in the biofeedback. It's very simple, actually. We can go into a whole bunch of stuff, too, and The other thing too is hydration is at 70, so a lot of people are not drinking alkalized water, or even if they've got expensive ionizers, doesn't mean you absorb it.
Right.
And that's the whole thing, is people can drink water and pee it out, not absorb it, even if it is alkaline 9.5. So again, it comes down to the acidity and not cleaning out that colon to get the minerals. So that's one of it. That's why a lot of people get up in the middle of the night to, urinate. And it's another reason why, people, even just doing baking soda, will simply, or a little bit of borax and Himalayan salt will do that. The other thing that I see that is of maybe something that we need to address is the proton pressure, which is reflective of the energetic pH. And it's up right now. So when I see people that have got a high proton level, in my expertise and in my years I've dealt with people, I see that when people have got sugar, insulin, and enzyme problems. I won't say diabetes, but that's usually, where most people are going high and low, high and low. It means we have got something going on in there. And so it's been, if you went on the litmus paper, it's still usually slightly acidic. And with a lot of people, it can be chronically acidic. But even though you've been alkalizing maybe now for a couple months or something, that at the cell level, it hasn't penetrated into the cell yet. You're just getting the surface stuff where you're starting to get your urine or maybe your saliva slightly alkaline. But it hasn't penetrated right through the whole system yet. So, if I knew you were doing that, then I'd go, something's up. But with most people, you can see it. It will show, 6.5 or something very low in the pH. And the frequency pattern. So we measure basically protons and electrons. We're energetic beings, so why would I think just taking a pulse is indicative of a heart rate or,
Yeah.
Every organ's got a energetic signature. So that's what we're looking at here. And it tells me something to go in and take a look at that. So,
So is that a normal or below normal, above normal, or?
Well, again, you've got some figures here that are, we'll just say, deviated from what is normal for you. And you got to remember, a lot of people don't realize that, is that there are different things genetically different. And we come off 13 different, technically, gene pools if you're Rh positive for tribals. And so we're going to assimilate things differently. And our blood is even based different. When you get iron-based, mammalian or Rh rhesus monkey, but positive for those antigens and stuff, as opposed to someone that's Rh negative and may have some alien DNA or manipulated DNA and is more of a copper-based. So, how we absorb things, how we do things, and the thing that I love about it is it's customized, because it's kind of like reading your original blueprint, as people think, or your template.
Right.
And so you're reading at a cellular level. So we kind of like your stem cells kind of know what that original thing is supposed to look like before everyone started getting GMO'd and cloned and transhumanized themselves too, or if someone did it for them. So we're looking at the original print and we're seeing what is deviated off there. So what we want to do is just bring it back to what we call peace. Some people call it homeostasis, and other people call it being balanced. So this is something that can profile people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So we not only look at just what's going on inside you, but also reflective of what's going in and around you in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if someone's on a prescription and they're having intimate relations or intercoursing or whatever contact, you will end up with that drug in your system.
Oh, not good.
Everything, whether people like it or not, everything is transmittable. Well, they used to call body blood fluids, but everything, in there. We have everything kind of in us, but we don't want things taking over. So we want to change the terrain so it's not really favorable. We call it the pH in the guts, but we call it the bio or the inner terrain.
Yeah.
And so we're not killing anything. So I'm not killing a parasite. I don't want to kill a virus. I don't want to kill anything. What you want to do is have a symbiotic relation with everything and just not, change the terrain so they're not there. But we can actually just send these sound waves, because we're basically 70-80% water, right? And so what we're doing is we're actually exciting, like a pulse wave, kind of like that chi machine. We're kind of like oscillating these waves to you at different hertz or frequencies, very high, very low, whatever, and we're exciting the cells inside. Okay, so if an organ's really sluggish and not doing well, we're sending a certain hertz to kind of stimulate it back to normal. So it's kind of like every organ or chakras or system has got its own signature, like an actual like an instrument in the orchestra, right. And we're just tuning everything in or pitching it in or putting the right keys in for it. So if, let's say you're too acidic, I'll alkalize you today. I can send the frequencies here. So the little box back in here actually is a receiver unit, but it also has a plate, and we can actually put water on or frequencies, or I can make remedies for people.
Wow.
Okay, so I can also test your vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing, to see if you're allergic to them or not. And when it does, you know, because a lot of things, this is not a matter of allergies. It might, and this is the terrible thing about prescriptions, they might change something, but the overall thing is they're going to cause brain damage. The overall thing is they're going to cause total system damage. So an antibiotic doesn't function. It's actually anti-life. And so we want to use things like universal, as I call tribal, it's not even universal, it's tribal medicine. It crosses the blood-brain barrier up here. You know, as you think the tribal, or you think what your brain is really up here,
Right.
third eye, what it does is it will cross into there. So that's why frankincense, myrrh, and cedarwood, and all your scriptural oils. So if your DNA blueprint, or we'll just say your DNA, or MT and DNA, is basically your script, your story, then if you do something, you prescript it, you actually change it. You've deviated away. And that's why people die on prescriptions. It's just another Greek word that means sorcery, by the way. So people of faith, they better learn how to get back to the faith thing, because that's what it is. You're actually going against your own faith or your own script.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, I mean, when you do the whole linguistics of languages and stuff, yeah, that's why the prescription sign, it blocks the third eye.
Wow.
Actually, it's a Greek thing, but it was an old Illuminati satanic symbol. And that's what the RX meant. It would block your third eye, so no one would ascend into the heavens.
Good thing I don't take prescription drugs.
Here, or arcanics, or demonic, whatever you want to say. It was a spelling on people too, the RX.
Right.
Very satanic symbols, actually, when you go back to before runes and all that kind of thing.
Like I said, good thing I don't take prescription drugs.
Yeah, and that's great. Like a lot of people, you know, unfortunately, these days do. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we just call quickly a risk profile. And like I said, there's so many things after 9,000, I could be here for weeks with you just figuring stuff out. Okay, so the first thing we've come up is we've got some dormant infections, and we're going to take a look at what's causing that, bacteria. And we don't just do measuring of viruses, bacteria. There's things called prions, amoebas, worms, all sorts of things. We see lots of snake venoms and stuff that were put into people's vaccines.
Wow.
And they're also in the chemtrails, also black sentient goo, which is programmable, and all the water's been weaponized in the cities, so that's why we only drink spring water. So the water could be a source of contamination too. And that's why people should go to findaspring.com. So that's just a few things in there. And of course, all the GMOs, I mean, they are putting in aborted babies into vaccines, and they're putting it into the food system, into the general population or the public food systems. So that's why it's really imperative to get like superfoods.
Yeah.
In there. And people don't realize, you know, recombinant DNA, or they're going to make some altered thing. Well, actually, when you start to the studies, it's actually, they can put in like, it's like, here, if I gave you some pus off a cow, would you drink it? No. So why would we take it in a vaccine or GMO food?
Right.
It just doesn't make common sense, you know, and what you're really doing. That's kind of the homeopathy idea too. It's the vaccine theory. So I just prefer to stay with it. So up here it says number one, we've got virus, lymphatics, and some emotional stuff. We want to bring everything back to balance here in the 80s and 90s. And there's some dormant allergies causing some respiratory, but definitely there's something in the immune system that's causing a suppression or depression of it. And that it seems to be a lot of virus or bacteria stuff. So I'd go back and then I'm going to explore it. And so I'm just, while I'm in here, I'm going to look quickly at the mineral profiling. And again, everything should be normal. 80 to 99, somewhere in there. And when I see the calcium and potassium in the 200s for us, it's very different than the hospital. Hospital as nurses, we didn't, they have such a narrow range, which made no sense to start with. So, and a lot of times this is opposite to what a medical doctor or nurse will tell you. Because let's say if an organ stops, or the blood will do something to start buffering it, your system will start doing something to buffer. Where they read that it's abnormal, it's actually your system's trying to normalize by doing the buffering. So we want to get rid of the cause and identify that, so that your system will automatically, with its innate wisdom, look after your stuff. I mean, really, you know, physician heal thyself inside. So you get to be your own doctor without all the, you know, high-tech stuff. Anyway, so the calcium and the potassium are in the, you know, out of range. They're in the 200s, which means you're leaching things out of the bones. It means you're not absorbing it in the guts. And even though you might be taking minerals or supplements, which a lot of my clients did, doesn't mean you're absorbing it. So it still means we got some plaque or mucoid or something's going on in the digestive system. The sodium chloride is still low in the 60s, 30s. So it means you're not absorbing the sodium chloride. So we're going to make sure you're really doing lots of salt flushes. And we may add something else in there. Boron is still minus 38. So it means there must have been a real deficiency at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still just trying to bring it up. And molybdenum and stuff like that. Copper still minus, 54 and stuff. So these are things I take a overall kind of clinical look at. And chromium as well. So what we're going to do is, as strange as it may sound to you, I can actually go like this and just start sending you the copper, the frequency of it. So we're going to actually give you copper. So instead of taking a vitamin pill or taking injections, which is ridiculous, or taking supplements, you can get, goji berries or different things that have all these in them or something like that, because you're bringing up the monatomic Oramus-rich nutrition. So I'm just taking a look at it. And so this is something to continue with boron inside, outside enemas, that kind of thing. And so we can look at amino acids in here and stuff too, which is the building blocks to your proteins and stuff. And most of them look like in their 40s and 50s, and that's very common. So we get people on things like hemp seeds as a superfood. Give you some components to getting that up here. This is something we call perverse energy, which is the static electrical radiation and what we call electrical pollution noise. So that's your wireless and cell phones and things like that. So most of these look like the gamma. And again, if I pick up a lot of stuff in the gamma range or beta or delta or theta, that's going to obviously affect your brainwaves. So all this wireless is direct effect, all the satellites, everything. So that's why we get, different things, crystals I've got, and things actually even on my computer and grounding mats and stuff, just to make sure, people at home can start washing down inside and outside with Epsom salt and Himalayan salt scrubs.
I can taste copper.
Can you now?
Like I got a penny in my mouth.
Would you like some more? I'll give you a little bit more here. So this is actually very cool. And yeah, we'll give you a little bit more. So I've actually done that where I've done things where people have been so acidic and just stimulated their pancreas enough to get it more activated, as people think diabetic or hypoglycemic. And they can all of a sudden taste like baking soda. And I've done it for 3-4 minutes, and it's almost like they wanted to start burping up. Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But I can taste it.
Yeah, that's the same thing in an enema. When we start getting you cleaned out in lower chakras, I can put, peppermint essential oil into the enema bag, and I can taste it up here because I'm cleaned out. So my receptor sites, even though you're feeding it to me there, that's why children that are gifted or indigo can put their hands over books and just with their hands read it. They don't require their eyes. Because again, it's cellular information being absorbed. It's the same thing in reflexology. That's why I put essential oils on your feet, and I can feel it in my head. Or if someone touches my feet, I can feel in the crown. Okay, so that's where we're going to. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
When I have a little salty taste, I'll just fix your sodium chloride here for a second. I'll give you some sodium. And so this is still, again, energetics. This is beyond mind over matter or just matrix energetics that I trained in, like theta healing and stuff like that. This is actually clinically assisting people, facilitating their on that path. And this can, I've learned how to do it. So you can basically go into a virtual operating room like this and actually do virtual surgeries without touching anyone, putting them under an anesthetic, which is very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, so I'll play a little bit more here, and what we'll do is we'll try some peppermint. And so what we can do is, this actually is telling me which are your oils, most desired or stuff like that. So it says, we can get some ylang, things like that for the heart, all sorts of things. So we can actually start doing that, and sometimes you can actually start tasting it, or we will give remedies. If they're flower-based, you can actually smell it. If I do rose, you'll actually just like you can taste it. We used to have fun doing that in our classes. And you get to be your own virtual doctor, which is fun. Are you impressed now?
Yeah.
That's why I've had people that were paralyzed get up and walk. I've had people with, all sorts of clinical diagnoses, and with 1 to 2, 3 sessions, or we might do 6, 8 hours or 12 hours if it's, a huge tumor or something to keep knocking it down. But it's all information-based technology. So
it tastes like I just took a sip of my Himalayan water.
Yeah, I just gave you about 5 shots of sodium.
Yeah. Taste it.
It is, isn't it amazing?
That's so crazy.
It's cool. Welcome.
Crazy cool.
Welcome to the klanmother and how we actually get to look after people on the planet. It's very, it's beyond cosmic activation.
Yeah.
It's really cool. This is, when you get into tribal medicine, this is actually, that's what tribal law is. It's access technology. So that's why it supersedes admiralty, maritime, common law, all sorts of ridiculous acts. And I don't say, because they're not law. They're just admiralty.
Right.
They're acts. They're acting like they think they know what they're doing. So, but when you get into so your vitamin Bs are very low. And anyone that questions that, I had so much fun. I was actually playing with Dr. Andre Vatkar out of Ottawa yesterday, who has another machine that's very, very similar to this. Is Simpatico ImageGo, which is another similar machine to this. So there's many different versions in life, but I like playing with mine. I'm ready for the upgrade. This poor baby's got to be upgraded. So, I mean, that stuff too I can do is if people want a couple sessions and things, I need a new upgrade. Download it. So instead of cash or charging people, that would be helpful for me.
Right.
Because then we could do this actually on Skype or something like this, and you can screen share, and then you can actually watch the screen while I'm doing it. See, from now you're just seeing it from a distance, but even now that's pretty cool. So we have the ability to screen share on Skype, which is kind of cool. So I've been doing it that way, so people can actually see their session live. This is just showing me different things, what might be low deficiencies, B18. And quite frankly, I mean, after like 30 years of nursing, I wasn't taught anything like this. We didn't have any clue as to health. So remember, what you have in the public sector is not what information is, neither in the private, neither in these admiralty, military, all these different stupid common sectors you think you're in. When you get into tribal and stuff like this, it's open access technology. And this is what it should be. It should be, and again, sacred and stuff too, but it is a gift.
Is that showing my real-time heartbeat?
Yeah, we can actually do that too. I'm just looking in here too, so I'm just making notes. B7, which is folic acid. So I've done all your lab tests. So I can actually tell if you're absorbing it, not absorbing it, where it is, and then I have a reflexology map and mineral map in the colon, which correlates to chiropractic and the 33 vertebrae or degree there. Tissue salts are still at 57. And vitamin U, which is your coenzymes, is pretty low. So there might be some stuff in hearts, and vitamin D is at 47. So I'm looking, most of these D1, D2, D3, D4 are all pretty low. So you might be out in the light, doesn't mean you're absorbing it. And vitamin C's, the ascorbics, tyrosine, ascorbic acids, rutins, bioflavonoids, all that, aspartic acids, they're pretty low too. So again, these are things that most people have never heard of, and you can go into a health store and they have no idea what they're talking about. So I'd rather, it doesn't matter what you're deficient in, if you go to a superfood like goji berry or raw cacao, all these components are already in there. So we don't have to be going for individual supplements.
Right.
I just get people on raw chocolate because everything's in there. It's in goji berries. It's in camu camu. It's in maca, and chaga mushroom. And if you use the essential oils, it's in there microscopically too, at a nano level. So this is a very cool thing, and that's the whole thing about even with the essential oils, we don't boil them. They just come to what we call a raw. So most foods here in raw, we keep between 105 to 115, and a lot of the flash points on the essential oils might be in the 130s. So they're very slowly steam distilled. It's like when we cook, we actually do it with easy bake ovens or dehydrators. So it's a slower process, but that way we keep all the integrity into place here. So that's kind of actually what we're looking at here. And again, protein stuff. So we'll go in, and I'm just going because this is your first session, and you can always do a record of it. But this is what we're looking at. And it's different than the lab test. So just because it was at this range today doesn't mean I expect it to be in that range for the rest of your life. You could be in it, something happened tomorrow, and everything looks, totally different. And this is where people have to really learn to be in the moment. So in the main matrix here, this is what I call the main matrix. It extends open. This is window 1, and I have 9,000 things, so there's thousands of windows. This is just peeking in the first, peeling back the first layer of your aura, or the first layer of the onion I'm looking at. Anyway, so it says there is some cellular necrosis, and doing something pathologically, it was a improper thing, old chemicals and stuff like that. So cellular necrosis, we'll see up, the cells are dying, so we'll start seeing something in some areas. So it could be a skin condition. Now, where are we seeing something where skin, or we're seeing a cell starting to slough off or not being healthy anymore? So that's the first thing we want to see here. It's starting to get damaged. And the other thing, too, is that there's old tells me the remedy for it. So it will tell me, use this essential oil, and it will tell me why. It says we want to release or transform energies that are blocked in the first root chakra. So I'll go back and look at that. These different things are different worms. We can have roundworms, pinworms, all sorts of stuff. So it's identifying there's a high microscopic concentration in them. And there's definitely some mercury. So if we don't have mercury fillings, it could be something in the water system, and it could be from even vaccines. This is the thimerosal derivatives. Or it could be that you had mercury fillings, got them taken out, but never did a full or complete heavy metal detox.
Right, because I did have one, but it fell out.
Yeah. And so right now we're still picking up a unacceptable level, an imbalance of mercury in the system. So we're looking at that. And again, we're just seeing DNA, or what we call basically cells in the skin here that have got really like at a nuclear level in the DNA, the injury to it. This is also for you too. I'm finding actually venom. This is a Crotalus scutulus venom, snake venom. And I'm seeing a lot of that in people. So whether they get it or not, that's what's in the vaccines. And this is how they've been doing the transhumanism thing. And this is how they're trying to think about it, alien or reptilian DNA or Draco and the Anunnaki and stuff. If they want to jump into people and use the people as hosts or do cloning, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to put that into the people. How are they doing it? Snake venom in your vaccines or in your foods.
So the last time I had a vaccine was when I was a child.
Again, they're in there. And the other thing too is they're still in the air systems. Do you have chemtrails right now?
Yeah.
They've got recombinant DNA and blood coming down, being poured on us. You've got things like Morgellons. You have all sorts of things being in there, and the PPAI and stuff too. So just because we haven't had a vaccine recently doesn't mean it's not in there. Anything you put into your system is still in there until it's cleared out. And so that's why you can, even as a colon hydrotherapist, you could have swallowed like a little toy as a child, and I can find it out and flush it out after 10 sessions. We've done that, and you might have a lot of clean colons the first 2-3 times, and then a couple sessions down the road, I open up a block. Well, that's like open up that infection or that food poisoning or that candida or whatever got in there like 20 years ago. But so we can actually remove those infections from childhood or emotions, because there's always emotions connected to that too.
Yeah. The one thing I'm not understanding is, since I've been doing like coffee enemas for like 10 years, why is everything so messed up still?
Well, one of the things too is coffee can be pretty acidic. It's not the right remedy in there. And you get used to things too. If I gave you the same substance all the time, it's not always a variation. And quite frankly, as much as I love enemas as a colon hydrotherapist, we need a little bit more, pressure in there to get around properly. And there could be an actual blocking or scoring, or I'm going to go look up, because there could be in the connection up to that particular organ. Okay. And this could be actually the strain of putting in, you got to remember the pH of coffee. Are you aware of what the pH of coffee is as a rule?
No.
Mine is 25.1. So once in a while it might be whatever to get the peristalsis going, but if it's done on a regular thing, that also can, contribute to different things, or attribute to why people are acidic, or it looks, like your pH is out of whack for me, because you're going to alkalize, but then you're putting the coffee in. You're going to alkalize, putting the coffee in.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so it would take 12 cups of water to neutralize that cup of coffee, by the way, or cappuccino.
I don't drink coffee. It's just
But yeah, it's a
through the back door.
Infusion. Yeah, it's direct infusion. Sometimes DDT, I see perthane. Sometimes an additive or a toxin. You may have been near perthane. Sometimes that's been used on things like cannabism or marijuana. So I don't know where you've been in contact with it or where you handled it, or sometimes that was industrial stuff or things like that. So I'm looking for that.
Say that again. Say that.
Perthane. It's like DDT.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where you came into that. And again, because of the vitamin D so low, so sometimes it's like people think they have seasonal depression disorders, which they don't, but they're just not absorbing, getting the full spectrum in there. So I'm just trying to see where the blockages are. We've definitely got some, and we talked about hydrogen peroxide yesterday.
Right.
There's a certain fungus in there that comes up, myeloperidase in there, so it just shows it's hanging out in the spleen. Say, girl, alio, so there's some lower back pain and stuff too. It does recommend frankincense and myrrh to stabilize the brain function. And we can start seeing when they've played with the genes. So if you got all these GMOs into you, and it's affecting your chromosomes, right? This creates a congenital or, familial disease. And so we can see it's now affected your chromosome 3. And that can affect different things in lung tissue, especially in renal issues, pituitary deficiency, and stuff like that. And they can eventually cause what we call carcinomas, or people think tumors.
Because I was diagnosed a long time ago with sarcoidosis.
Yeah, that's what it's showing me there. So again, this is very specific. Doesn't mean we can't take it here. And as simple as this, I can actually take this particular condition and then bring it back to normal, to normalize it for you. So we can actually, in essence, zap those things out of our system.
That's so cool.
You could have a virus or a bacteria or a tumor. I call a blockage. I'm not going to use the cancer word. Cancer is like, Aries, or you're stuck in Capricorn, or you're stuck in the, this is supposed to be the age of the Aquarius. We're supposed to have 13. We're going to have room for a little bit more open messages here.
I can really taste that, whatever you put.
Did you?
Yeah.
That was actually to do with the chromosome right now. So I'm still actually zapping it. I'm giving you a 7-second, like you call similar rife or radionics.
Yeah.
This is rife radionics beyond it. So
you can feel it and I can feel it and taste it.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of clients when I've done essential oils and done enough what we call raindrop technique that after a while, sometimes if they've had chemo or certain things, they'll have cellular memory, but you can actually smell it in the room, or at least that's why as nurses we used to say we used to be able to smell stuff if people had extrasensory perceptions.
Well,
that's why.
I can really taste it.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just wait till I get you the feel-good stuff and you think you're like higher. It's like a serotonin, like, sludge, right? And everyone's like happy. In there. So that's what I'm looking at here. There's also a black spider venom. So I don't know where the black spider was, but this is going on and on. So I can just keep going through here and just go deeper and deeper and deeper. And we're going to start picking up all these things, more viruses, more bacteria, more worms, whatever. It's accumulated and it's passed on.
How does like I said, the coffee enemas, how does the worms still be in there?
Oh, because they're buried. They can be buried into organs. It's leaky because they eat through the wall. It's like my CERN thing when I was talking with Sergeant Daniel McBullen and former Sergeant Patty Bessard. I said, it's leaky gut. CERN had leaky gut. It breached contain it. You have a nuclear meltdown, a nuclear radiation plasma or magnetic breakdown. And that's just the same thing with us as they eat through the wall. So leaky gut or diverticuli and all that, they eat through the wall and they go anywhere.
I understand now.
Yeah, it's that simple. And so what we have to do is clean it out, wash it out, and then seal it up properly. So that's what I do that way. So it just says like malt. So I'm going to say just, if you're drinking beer, don't drink beer. You're allergic to malt, allergic to dust, pinto beans right now. So I can just compartmentalize this and just keep going down here. And so what I'm going to do, I can go just isolate the bacteria infections or chemtrail infections or look at your blood and see what's going on within seconds here, lack of enzymes and stuff. So mostly in here, like if there are different things going on, a lot of this appears to be more, again, it's showing up with the antibodies and stuff, but again, you might notice cellular changes, what you'd call skin stages. And this is basically what we're seeing in here. We can do emotion stuff like that too. Mm-hmm. Enzymes, again, most people are very deficient, almost totally deficient in enzymes because they've been eating raw foods where they're supposed to be, like in the original code of the food. They've altered the food. You alter the food, you alter your gene expression. Minerals, again, it's just suggesting that isotonic plasma, which is salt water. And that's like going back into the cosmic. It's like going into the primordial womb of our mothers. This is a systemic pleomorphic. It means you may have a very benign or simple infection, but it transmorphs. You change the terrain, and they start becoming like transformers in there. They become aliens. So they can actually be from a very benign little infection morph into candida. So candida or yeast infections are chronic. They're very, very serious.
Yeah. Can I take a drink of water right now?
Yep, you sure can. Yeah, just do what you have to. You could be like swimming and I can do you. Doesn't matter. So I'm looking at the vertebrae and stuff like that. I'm just going to go through a couple things. So the oils of choice here, if you were with Young Living, and I love Gary's stuff, we'll talk about oils as well today. Mm-hmm. They were frequency coded, and he got the formulas actually off what you call, as people think here, like, the hieroglyphics, but the Isis temple. Okay, so a lot of those hieroglyphics, as you see, were actually essential oil recipes.
Wow.
In my grandmother's temples. in their sacred kin. Yeah. So that's what he made. So they're not just a oil. You know, so you might have peace and calming designed at 105 hertz to open up your mind or stop addictions or start feeling the love or open your third eye. So these aren't just simple oils that were initially designed by him. They're designed in hertz. So, you know, one of the first ones is gratitude. So, you know, if you don't have gratitude, to be more feeling there's something in there. And again, we'll go into things if you feel anger, that's liver. So we're going to use an oil called purification, not just liver oils or milk. You know, this is the next level beyond using herbs or food. So, you know, beyond milk thistle and beyond, you know, liver cleanses, which are still great. I still do, you know, liver, gallbladder flushes. I just did a whole bunch overnight with Epsom salts. So, I mean, 3 glasses and I can get junk out of my system and gallstones and tumors out overnight. You know, so anyone can go to theCureZone.com and it's, you know, a teaspoon, or I may put into 6 pills. I don't like to take the salt, but I take 6 pills of Epsom salt and a glass of water at 6. I do it again at 8. And then at 10 o'clock, I take 3/4 of a cup of olive oil or sunflower oil, and then 1/4 cup of either grapefruit juice or lemon juice. And you go to bed. And you hopefully you can get some flushing going through and get some stones out. But if you keep doing that, you know, several times a week, you'll start getting things out and flowing. You know? So, and again, what is it? It's magnesium sulfur. We're just so deficient in it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's one of the things you might want to do. But anyway, back to the oil: gratitude, trauma life, acceptance, Melrose. So you can look up the recipes, Egyptian gold. Single oils would be lemon balm. We call it Melissa. And Melissa is a very awesome oil. It's when you see a lot of things that lavender doesn't respond to, or oregano or clove or cinnamon, or your, again, scriptural biblical oils are some of your 12 strongest oils for the 12 scripts. That's why they call them the 12 scriptural oils. And so off our genetics on our father's side, right, or patrilineal side, right, you could have up to 12 ET, or, you know, what the seed base was.
Right.
Off that, and then your matrilineal. So, and then that's why it's important to trace your mtDNA. You know, and anyone can get a swab test for that and find out which one of the
Say that slower again.
mother's lines you came off of. So we did that. And then Harmony, Juvaflux, Bevidar, Tarragon, Myrrh, Chamomile, Juniper. Those are all great oils for you. Orange, sage, oregano, lead them. I always think of Moses, lead them out of there. Let's get them out of Exodus. Lead them out. So it's So this is what we're looking at in here, hyssop. So those are your main remedies, you know, in there. So whether you want to get singles, oils, or doing whatever you like, we'll talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the fun stuff right now. And this is actually what we call the viewer. So it's telepathically. I love it because we do this with children. We go through all your systems. And you and I are doing this, facilitating this together. I call it co-creation, right? So I'm not a doctor slamming this down your brains, you know, or telling you what to do. This is you communicating with me what you actually require. So right now, it's pointing out different things here. These are your adrenal functions, and they sit on the kidney. So this is the one in a bit of an adrenal fatigue. This is a clogged throat chakra. So it could be because you're in high radiation, or you're not communicating properly, or the throat chakra shut down. So I'll take a look at that. There could be a lot of, again, Fukushima, but all your EMFs, your CERN, RIANs, all your different things along that line, the Large Hadron Colliders and all these different things, and military towers and cell towers are doing that. There's something going on in the middle ear. So this is what you're repairing right now. This is what we're actively going to repair for you right now.
Wow.
Okay, so this is like you're going into a surgery. So this is why going into hospitals, I stay out of them because, you know, it's the hospitaliers and I'm not into the Illuminati warehousing. But, and then it is. What's a hospital?
That's why I laugh.
You have to learn what these words actually mean, just like
right.
stuff. That's from the Hospitaliers or the Knights Templar.
Right.
Okay? This is not, they're not in there for your benevolence. It's profit driven. This is a degenerative colon still. And so it can be scarring. So this is why you can be actually okay in one part of the colon or the organ and then scarred off in another. Okay? And that's why all my people, as you can see all the damage in here in the walls and the inflammation. You might have poop or pus, or you got a parasite nest. But this is when they scope you, they can still see everything. And this is why you still poop, because everything's at the wall. It's absorption. It's access. And so this is one of my best analogies. This is what same thing, the cholesterol and the high blood pressure. Anyone that's on high blood pressure pills or triglyceride stuff, it's because they got a dirty colon. Anyone that's got diabetes or cancer, they've got a dirty, filthy colon.
Right.
You know, this is where it starts, and you can see it starts generating, and it gets mucus, and it gets plaque, and another year of plaque, and another year of plaque, and they haven't done it. So for me, if you're 20 years old, then you should have 20 colon hydrotherapy sessions, not enemas, but with the professional machines. And this is what happens. It plaques up and plaques up over years, right?
Why? See, this is where it throws me off again, is why am I... See, I'm thinking I'm taking really good care of my body and everything by doing all this, and it's like you're telling me the complete opposite of what I'm trying to achieve. When I mean, it's good, but,
Yeah, everyone's kind of blown. They go, well, I thought I was doing really well till I started hooking up with you, and literally on this way. What happens is it's bringing to the awareness that I'm focusing on what we need to look or shift. Okay? And so that's why a lot of things, if there's a blockage in that one area, like I said, 80% of the bowel could be totally fine, but the bowel will have a connection port to it, which I'll show you. And unless you know reflexology of that colon, that's why it's probably one of the most important things. The large intestine here, each one of these segments go to an actual organ.
Wow.
So maybe these are all fine, but this is the area on you that reflects the head. So I know this area is all damaged. I know you haven't gotten back there yet. Okay, so if everything's showing up here or skin or whatever, I know that area is not fixed. And enemas only really do the root. Even though you get some water around, you're not maybe getting enough pressure or the right substances, or like I said, alkalizing it and changing the terrain.
Right.
Because a lot of these bugs like to live in acidic conditions. So if I'm putting in acid, it's not really removing the acid mucus plug. You're just doing a surface washout. You're not getting to the barnacles or getting it alkalized or using enough salt water in there to actually take this mucus plate off this area.
Right.
So it could be simply the solution that you're using. You're using an acidic, very acidic solution, for your enemas, and maybe just switching it to an alkaline solution might be just the remedy that you require. So sometimes it's just an investigation what you're doing. But this is really it. So a lot of people that have got, anything, depression or anything, or glasses or fillings, it's all down in this area, heavy metals. You'll see people that can't breathe in the transverse. Most of us women had children, and our actual colons, because we were all got bigger, they prolapsed, and it drops and it cuts off these two areas.
Right.
So that's why you see all the women with postpartum depression, because they can't get the nutrients back up and the energy back up. And they also get periodontal like I did initially.
Wow.
With my children. And a lot of times you can have a prolapse
of
the walls in there. So a lot of us will have prolapse of the uterus or bladder or vaginal prolapses and stuff too.
Yeah. And working from a urologist point of view, I know exactly what that's about, and it's not fun.
No, it's not. Been there, done that, gone through all that. So let's say if people are having a particular, thing in their eyes or ears or whatever, or their nerves or whatever, I mean, we can go right into that actual organ itself and start sending in certain hertz and do eye repair or surgery. So I've actually done people where they got rid of their glasses or their reading glasses or something, or could see a little bit better. I've seen that happen within, again, sometimes it's very surface damage, and sometimes it's been there for years. So the other thing we can do too, which is always kind of cool, is we like to do, let's say if we're doing...
Did you already do the gut repair?
Oh, just hold on. I'm just getting warmed up.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually when you're going into different things here, ancestral things. Children, let's go bladder, heart. Okay, a lot of times, basically, this is for acupuncture purposes. So we can actually go into each acupuncture meridian and find out what's blocked, kind of like a scan of that.
Right.
Actually send the signal or the hertz into there. So you may have a blockage in here in the heart meridian or something. So I can actually go in and we'll do sound acupuncture. So this is needleless acupuncture.
Right.
And so basically if you put the essential oils on and do your acupressure, it can be more effective than surgery or acupuncture.
Wow.
Okay, so you're doing essential oils are basically oil or food acupuncture. They penetrate without a needle. And so you might have something going on in here, so I'm going to look at this. And maybe this is, like I said, it's what you might think is your forehead. I don't see it as your forehead. I'm looking at where's the connection, where does it start, where's the block. And so that's just a symptom showing up here when actually it started back in another organ system.
Right.
So everything's a chain reaction. So I feel like, a children's, 30 years of medicine, I'm really a plumber and electrician. I just read the schematics really well. That's all. This is the auric field. Now, this is your aura here. And I don't like to go where I say, oh, it's dark, it's evil, it's da-da, it's all these demons around you. There's a lot of blockages. There's a lot of dark blockages in here. Okay, in the auric field. So it means that things are not coming through or not grounded properly. Okay, so it starts really low. So when you think of in the legs what the acupuncture meridians are here, that's what I'm taking a look at here. So what I'm seeing in here too, kind of all this black stuff going in, well, then I can go back and what's on this, left leg of his, right? And I can go back in and go, well, am I looking at the kidney? Is it the kidney meridian? What am I looking at down here that's starting down here? So a lot of these you got to remember, as you would see in here, your kidney meridians or your reflexology points go all the way down into here. And so this is the kidney channel. So people might think they have a foot problem or something like that, or a calf problem, but in actuality, it's down into the meridian down here, into the calf or into the kidneys or ankle problems or whatever. So that's why we put the essential oils on everything. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at there. This is sacred geometry. If you like octarian crop circles and stuff, this will sometimes be just a pattern for you.
Right there, that one.
You can see the flowers of life in there, and you're seeing different things on there floating around.
Like you said, is that one? That is the one I mean?
Yeah, that's yours. Now we can do quadrant repair, and then one of the other things I'll just pick up quickly, and then we'll go real quick here. It again is telling me this colon's got to be addressed here. So this is the same thing. Why you can have just plaque on one different area, or eating through, or think of it like a phlegm. Coughing up phlegm. You can have like as people think, basically a scab, and we pull the scab off this part of the colon. There's all the infection underneath.
Oh, okay.
But you've got scab after scab after scab.
That's the best way to explain it that I understand.
Yeah, it's like having a zit or an abscess, like a tooth abscess. It's still in there, all the infection. You just don't see it on the top until it eats all its way through. So they come all the way up here. So it could be just something local with all the acidity. That's why we use xylitol and use your essential oils that way. So that's really what we're kind of seeing. And the other thing too we can go into is iridology scans, so we can get the iridology. So I know how to read people's eyes. So a lot of times they'll send pictures of their eyes to me, or I get them to look really close to the camera, or just get a flashlight and look at your own eyes, learn your own iridology, because that's the mirror of the soul. If you know iridology, or you learn live blood cell analysis or microscopy, all we're doing is we're focusing on the colon. It comes back down to that colon, to the root base there. And so if we see something in the iridology scan that's abnormal, that's all we're doing. And it's showing me that there's some what we call scurf rings in there. And that again,
What do you say, scurf rings?
It's like a scurf ring or a rough zone. It's jagged in there. And basically I can see some pocketing, what you call diverticuli. So we just actually did your iridology scan.
That's really cool.
And again, what are we reading? Again, 5th, 6th, right? Soul gates or transit gates or something like that, right? So that's actually really interesting. So we can go in and start fixing that and then send different signals and that, but bring it to your attention. And I would say go into the bathroom with a mirror, get a flashlight out, or take some pictures of your eyes, take a picture of your tongue, take a picture of your teeth, because this is really what we're reading up here. This is our face, And once you know how to read some of that, it's pretty cool. I had a friend of mine, Terry Bell, and he does something called Shotai, Shotai. And so it's like doing traditional Chinese medicine. Again, it's tribal medicine. It's Asian. So it doesn't matter where you went. My Vedmas or your grandmas or babas or babushkas, it's not just reading your hands and stuff, fingerprints. It all has to do with this. It's reflexology. It's beyond palmistry and, reading your fortune, as people say. You can see it all in here. That's why the eyes are the mirror of the soul. So that's something really cool. There's a chakra analysis in here. And again, I'm looking at the chakras here, and I know it might be a little bit. Let's see if I can bring it a little bit closer. I don't know how much more. No, it's not the best one there. But anyway, I've just got so much cord space here. What we're doing is I'm actually looking at it, and I can see the root chakras pretty in, I call shock. Second chakra's okay. Third's hyper, again, too big. So, there's some things going on there. Heart's really large. Throat's kind of shut down, and third eye is kind of in there, but there's a disconnect. So I call it disconnected. It's kind of like a party line. And so if it doesn't totally connect, then that's what's happening. It's like you're trying to speak to all these things on a party line, and you've got disconnections. So you're on a conference call, and you can't conference in and figure out what's going on. So that becomes a bit of a problem. So the first thing we want to do, and this is why a lot of people, I know where I've got theta touch and quantum touch and Reiki master and theta and what else? Body talk. I can't remember. I got so many touchy-feely things over all these years. Massage, whatever, oil chemistry, whatever. It doesn't think, but a lot of people think they're doing something to someone and they're not. You can hold space, but you can't heal anyone. You can't even really facilitate that. And so we need to go back to things where people do their own readings. Like I don't do tarot, and I don't let anyone read for me either. So I don't want to have the energy of that kind of stuff in my field. And so a lot of this stuff, this is where you're actually doing your own readings and stuff.
Can any of that be repaired, like now?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the things, too, that, we would go in to do with sound waves or stuff like that, or do essential oils, or get you doing colonics to do your own repair. And this is why I find a lot of people doing in pendulums and stuff like that. They're not the heart chakra anyway. And a lot of people see things and they're misinterpreted incorrectly all the time. And I think that's where people need to go onto this kind of thing. This is like no different than you want biofeedback is what it's called. It's biofeedback or computerized assisted biofeedback. It's no different than people going and standing on a scale. You want to know your weight? You stand on a scale. You want to know what's, cars going on? You take it to the oil change place and do whatever, 47-point assessment. Well, this is a 9,000-point assessment. And this is the kind of technology that we need to really access and should have. Yeah. We do have it in a few hospitals. They've got it in Johns Hopkins. And the nurses are trained on essential oils, raindrop, SCIO, biofeedback, and other things by Dr. Faith Nelson. Dr. Paul Duran, which used to be close to here, used to be the vice president of the Quebec, province of Quebec, but all the physicians here, has now gone this way into holistic and quantum medicine, and they've started up the quantum university. So they have people like Nassim Harriman and Amit, and they've got people like David Wolf teaching basic stuff to people. And so they put through tons of, again, it's virtual university that people can learn, kind of if you think Eastern and Western medicine or integrative medicine. So people can go and be doing this within months at, in their studies virtually online. And they can move right up into like a integrative university where they've got university-based naturopaths and doctors. Wow. So, there are people doing PhDs or whatever else. But if you just want to take an aromatherapy course, you can do that. You just want to learn about live blood cell analysis, you can do that. So this is the kind of access technology that, we're learning about now. And so that's what's really, really important for people is to get things activated. And so that's something like during the session, like I said, you can start learning with it, teaching. We can see the chakras if they're open and closed. And like I said, I can go into everything like minerals, vitamins, hormones, anything, and then do the corrections on it. And then do the emotional profiling and stuff, and that sort of thing. So that just gives us kind of the basics for today. And just the fact that you can feel something, again, you're shifting. So if you've got like a block in here and we unblock it, well, then everything's going to flow above that.
Yeah.
So if everything starts down here in your root chakra in the core, in the colon, and we clean that off a little bit better, well, you're going to have less brain fog. You're going to not be having wrinkles, most people are really kind of blown that way, Skin looks better. You don't need Botox. And again, then the application goes. Let's get to what the cause is. Is it nutritional? Is it education? Did you miss something in your teaching? They didn't teach us in home ec. And this is where people have to be their own like nurses and doctors. And if you're going to eat food, then the highest food on the planet is aromatherapy essential oils. They're called essential because it's essential to our well-being. Right. It's an essential food. It's an essential food supplement. And from a quantum point of view, it's the only kind of food that goes in to you and knows where to go. So, you stick a carrot in, you put something in, it's got to figure out what it has to do, dismantle it, because it's foreign. But when you break it down, you can get carrot essential oil and celery essential oil and chocolate essential oil. You can get the essential nanotechnology. So just putting aromatherapy on your skin and massaging it's great. You won't pick up as much of other people's garbage in their fields. That's great. But once you put it inside you, then what you're doing is you're actually putting it in. So, whether I use my essential oils in pill form, or I put them into drinks or salad dressings, or you can put them on top of cereals. I'm kind of like, sacred chocolate, kind of like David Wolf and Steve Adler. My big thing is to put it into raw chocolates. So the best delivery system is one form of chocolate. And if you don't like chocolate, well, you can make it taste like berry or something else. So whether it's a chocolate, or lemon or whatever, it's just flavoring.
Right.
And so the essential oils are probably the most powerful medicine. Like outside of something that we're giving to you energetically, the next highest form is aromatherapy. And so that's why I concentrate on that. So it's not just sprinkling it. And anyone can stick oils on their feet and massage their feet, and they can stick it into pill form. And what we do is, people can, like I said, you can put castor oil on, you can put it on the skin, you can put it with a castor oil pack or a hot towel. Massage technique anyone can learn. And what I did is just quit taking the damn drugs. Get some empty clear capsules, not gelatin, with mad cow disease. Get some oil, whether it's olive oil or something, and you can just put your oil straight in here, like make an orange pill, an oregano pill, a frankincense pill, or make a combination like salad. They actually act what we call synergistically. They enhance each other. Okay? And so you can put a drop of clove, a drop of cinnamon, and that's what we call blending. So those of us that are, some people think master blenders or whatever, that's what we do. I can look up Gary's formula, or I can muscle test, or I can just put anything on. It's going to do what your system's going to do with it. And so because of the power of the concentrations, remember, you're taking that entire plant and putting it into a drop. So rather than taking herbs and taking foods and supplements, one drop of peppermint oil is like you taking 26 cups of peppermint tea.
Wow.
Okay? And I know then you're tasting it, but I can actually make you taste anything this way through the whole, through the energetic waves.
The copper one's
pretty
cool,
wild.
but bizarre, something's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like hocus pocus.
It's not hocus pocus. And remember, if you study your things with Alfred Laminate Weber or Sergeant Daniel McMillan, or anyone does anything, it's climatical, call it whatever you want. This is a war for people's mind, i.e., how you think, your gamma, delta. That's what the forces are, right? The lost souls. And when you get into that, what you're looking for is how to get it repaired or get the triple strand DNA. That's why getting the cell mech and getting as many minerals as you can. Everything in the stores is virtually depleted. It's like depleted uranium is killing people. All the foods are depleted. The water is now depleted and fracked, and with sentient goo. So again, we've got to go back to real, as I call, basics here, and look at the essential oils, because that's the only thing that raises your frequency. And so outside, if you went and I measured this is measuring your frequency or your life, wave, your prana, your chi, whatever, as people think their life force or their soul force, right? I'm seeing really your immune system is your diplomatic immunity.
Right. Yeah.
Really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what the immune system is, or what's missing. So getting to access this in is when you take these, things, and anyone can go on and take a look at it. The oils are very, very important because they can be just applied anywhere. And like I said, you can put them in the pills, in the form, in the chocolate, whatever you like. I put them in tampons and stuff. You can put them on pads. You can put it directly on skins. You can go to something called GRAS, G-R-A-S, which is generally regarded as safe. This is access technology. I mean, anyone can go on a computer. They don't have to call me. First thing I always say, did you Google it? You're calling me. So a lot of these things, because if there's no energy and it's dead, and GMO'd with Terminator seeds, there's hardly any vitality in it. Remember that you can clone a food or clone an oil to make it look like that. So the quality of the oils is the same thing. You have noble, medical, therapeutic grade oils or foods. You also have then second, and that's first class. That's like a noble food or ennobled minerals. That's like, what we are in law.
Right.
I'm a noble savage, you know. Then you have people that they're eating, well, maybe organic. Well, that's second class.
Right.
You know? And I'm not second class to anyone. I don't put anything scripturally in the 10 Commandments. I'm the creator. I don't put anyone before me.
That's what I tell. Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. Organic doesn't mean anything.
That's right. Organic has some, possible contaminations, right?
Right.
And like same thing. Not that smoking and stuff. Smoking is one of the worst things you can do. It's concentrated radiation. It's concentrated grass with all the chemtrails and radiation right now. So smoking is the quickest way to end your life. So I actually have essential oils that can extend it. That's life extension technology. And so that's what we need to look at that. It's not just the smoking, what's on it, it's the chemicals and the radiation that's, again, killing the people.
Right.
And again, this has been purposely designed. And so when we measure you, it's got 0. And as a nurse, I'd say you flatlined. There's 0. And they can't find any wave of any form, right? You've given it up. And so when you go into live food out there, like as you think organics and stuff, they're only 15 to 20 some 30 hertz. Now, most of your bugs that are microscopic, viruses, bacteria, fungus, i.e. disease-based things, are in the 40 to 50 some 55 hertz. So if you have that coffee at 55, it's going to drop you into the bug world. It's going to drop your acidity or your energetic life, right? Unfortunately, most people, rather than being off the grid, are in the grid, and they've got 60 hertz around them, cycling all the time. And so they're kept like in a washing machine. They're just like zombies. Now, the oils at least will rise you up. It's like, getting out of the agitation of the world, whirling around the world in that war. To give you a little bit of peace, we can actually start using the essential oils, and the essential oils will raise you from about 46, 48 hertz to hundreds. So we can actually get rose oil at 320 hertz. We can get sandalwood at 100 and some hertz. We can get your frankincense at a certain thing. So the idea is to get as many oils as you can. Quick putting all this loose stuff into the kitchen cabinets and really start concentrating on the oils. Get your lemon oil. So your 1 drop of oil in lemon is now going to clean everything up, but you can use it for cleaning, disinfecting. You can use it, just the aroma is one thing. You can diffuse it, in there. But again, that'll stop some of the radiation. You got to remember the stuff that's coming through is a direct energy weapon. It's a silent SS weapon system through the satellites and through CERN and magnetically that's been here for thousands of years.
Right.
It's not anything new. This is before the pyramids in Atlantis, And so what we're seeing now is you're going to have to use something microscopically in nanotechnology. So nanotechnology, I got nano foods. I got nano oils. It's a nanomolecular food is what it is. So it's very, very effective. Again, preserving the brain function and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of people too with guys too, like balding and women balding. And that's from radiation accumulated stuff too. And calcification. So if this is happening on the outside, can you imagine what's happening on the inside to your bones and the organs? So what's outside is in. So if we're seeing the damage up in here with people, that's actually like inflammation, or you're seeing something burning on the inside.
Oh.
You're just not seeing the brain burn or the chemical burn, but you're seeing a radiation chemical burn inside. So it's very, very important to take this kind of stuff very seriously. When people come in with like a infected toenail and candida or yellow toenails, I just go wild because that candida or systemic thing has gone all the way through. And that's no different. It's not diabetes. It's such a severe or cancer or whatever it is, or into the nervous system. That's what we're seeing. And that's why the kind of technology that when it's misapplied and stuff too, when we're talking about scalar pens and scalar things and Keshi pens and stuff, they can be used actually quite the opposite. And you can use it with the intent based on that people's knowledge, or it can be redirected. So those chemicals redirected on the coils act like a miniature, not even a Tesla coil.
Right.
Tesla had more information than the Kesh do. And so when I broke mine, that's why all the plasma and the computers, it just scrambled it, because it was, again, they're using it as antennas right into your home. It's bad enough that people have smart meters, but now you've made like a smart pen. And so people are noticing changes, but quite frankly, when you're using these pens and wands in your water, well, what they've done is they go to experiment. They haven't been on coffee for 3-4 days, and they move to water. So you move it from minus 25 to 6 or maybe 7. I'd have a direct, it's a huge shift in people. Of course, their symptoms are going to start stabilizing out, because it's like fasting. if you do water fasting or master cleansing with lemonade for 3 days, your immune system kicks in. It's not the food, that's assisting people. It's when you can go into people like Solarian or breatharians, like Jericho Genesis Sunfire and Jasmuheen, or tens of thousands of other people. And I know I've experimented with it for weeks or a month too, where you don't eat and don't drink or do urine therapy and things like that. And then you actually can see the profound change. If you can actually, and this is why master cleansing, we still have to do enemas and colonics, because a lot of people have done this, for weight purposes or health purposes, and gone for a week or 2 or 3 weeks on water fasting or juice fasting or whatever. Then they go back, which I've done that too. Your organs aren't used to it too. So you need to, learn how to break the fast or breakfast appropriately. And again, if you're eating foods that are boxed and whatever or processed, well, then we're going to drop you into the GMO thing. You're genetically modified, you're transhumanized, and there's not much we can do with that. And people have done it to themselves. So, like I said, there's people pointing fingers at, military and stuff up there and dropping all the chemtrails and everything. But I have more people on the ground, probably 6 out of 7 billion people, like spraying Febreze these days. So they're more dangerous, Riley. And so, like I said, it's got to stop on both ends.
Right.
Neither is acceptable. And from a tribal perspective, it's both genocide. So I classified as, people are beginning to be enemies of the nations, the tribal people, and there's like very few of us left. And this is, and again, with the 13th klanmother one, I'm what's classified as a white noble savage, but I'm off the white. My ancestors were on the Caucasus, and they were one of the first ones dropped off in the Garden of Eden, in the Stargate. So we were the first technically nation here, and I'm not red. Okay?
Well,
has to do with bloodline.
Yeah.
Has to do with lineage, and out of the 13, only a few of them were, but they called it peace pipe, they called it wampa belts, they called it canes of authority. We call it Isis, we might call it Camel's Eye, we might call it the Cleopatra one, we might call it Noah's Ark Treaty, someone might call it Solomon's Seal, but that's about people that are at peace internationally on this planet, but on other planets too, or extraterrestrial. So you know what the extraterrestrial, things are. You're here, but not here, so to speak. And that's how people can help lift themselves. They can only do it themselves. You cannot lift anyone else up. You can't save anyone. You can't heal anyone. We can't do anything. But that's been in my learning experience, and that's what I've been a witness to, but also experienced. So everything I tell you, if people want to go get their books and stuff, I've not only read them all, I've trained with all these people. If I want to, the healing oils have been with Dr. David Stewart. I know the hertz and the frequencies and the chemistry and the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education. We care. And to do that, if I want to know about chocolate and cacao, I got Naked Chocolate, and I met with David Wolf, and I've talked with Steve Adler at length. Because that's the actual vitality of like chocolate if you make it properly in raw form.
Right.
The hertz on that, you can see what spectrum that is. That's gamma. That's, it's beyond Saint Germain and the violet flame, man. we can excite anything here. And that's different things in here too. That's actually maca, by the way.
It's what?
Maca. Maca is an adaptogen that people can use. But again, rather than powdered forms, you could go to maca essential oil. They just haven't done it yet. And those are the things we have to, like cannabism should be done, like cannabis oils and stuff. Not like in, necessarily Phoenix Tears and stuff, but there should be essential oils, like what was the original anointing, or as I call marinating formulas, my apothecary thing. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize. A lot of these different things are actually recipes in the hieroglyphics and on the different stones. So,
and how?
Yeah, you can actually see where you get the shamans doing their oils or their herbs and stuff too.
Yeah,
they're just sharing recipes, man. It's kind of funny in that, and I think that's where people really need to get into their basics there. A lot of people don't realize just how genius this is, and most people, even for chocolate essential oil, that's the chocolate bean in the pod that grows off the tree, and just like anything, a superfood, it goes, again, the roots are down, whether frankincense tree or myrrh tree, it comes up and it collects in here, and then we just distill this part. That's all it is. That's what your essential oils, so your plants, your materials, whatever, are put into a slow steam distillation. And medical is not just someone doing it organically. It's actually done on a gas chromatograph. So we actually can tell. So even organics, like a lot of different people, they'll throw out 40% of all the organics or the thing because they don't meet medical qualities.
Right.
You know, on that. And then the application stuff too. But my thing is to actually go to something like, say, like Abundant Health for You. And actually in there, that's where I get most of my books, or had most of the health books, and I've been down there myself. I used to go to all these places down there. So if I wanted to know what the oil was about, I went and I met with Gary Young. And I, went to Cancun, and then I went to, to the actual growing plantations. And like I said, there are lots of things. You can get lots of reference guides for people. And I happen to have, there's tons. There's an entire library there. And just on oils and how to do emotional release, that's a whole different, especially in itself, because we'll talk about emotional release and how to do these things. But everyone's all excited about goji berries now. Well, I was playing with them 20 years ago, and goji juice and all that. But just get the true thing is actually what we're going into. But a lot of these healing hands and stuff like that, I'm sure there'll be something for people, because a lot of these feelings are on the DNA or mRNA, and they're passed from generation to generation. So I think that's one of the things too. And these charts you can get too. So if you know reflexology, you don't have to just put frankincense on your head. You could put it on your foot and start rebuilding your head from the ground up, so to speak. And if you've got a block here, then energetically it won't come up.
Right.
So that's why doing oils and reflexology and just wrapping them on a hot, wet towel, or putting a foot bath, or you actually putting your feet in borax or baking soda is almost more effective to start with. Especially for a lot of people are making salt scrubs or these kind of things for guys in the showers. I make Epsom salts and salt scrubs with their essential oils as well to pull it in. So I think that's a huge thing. And like I said, a lot of people, they'll put it on terracottas or something, or their different things, and they'll keep the frequencies right near them, not just the stones, but they put the oil there because of the vibration for radiation and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of key things that we can do in there. So my thing is basically just to get people educated on how to use it and go from there, because really that's the highest form. And if you can combine the food with the oils, then you can erase the vibration of both. And it's an amazing technology. And this again is essential. Well, it's on Amazon too, but the Essential Oil Desk Reference. This is that thick, and this is like the 6th edition. And honest to gosh, this replaced all my medical career. This one book alone, what I learned in here. And this is way back when. And I still have the other ones kept, because to me this is like the Alexandra Library, on here. And so I've been down to these fields and actually got to distill. So I've actually been partaking in the oils, and I put things down and gifted many things over the years, to these areas. And so it's very, very important that we go back to you are what you eat, because there's 21 ways to get this into you.
Right. What's going on? Because I can feel like static electricity.
Yeah.
And I can taste salt water.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, the session is going through and it's cleaning out, and now you're starting to. Okay. So we're identifying blocks in here, and it's still doing it. All those things are still being played with as long as I got you on here.
Because before.
What you don't see is it's still going through all these different areas of disease or trauma. So this is the heart thing. We could be doing EEGs and ECGs. So it's right now dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, it's focusing in the 4th dimension or 4th chakra, heart. And again, your heart comes on your left foot on the reflexology point. So again, just stimulating here, or like people that do neurolinguistic programming or tapping and that kind of thing. You can put your essential oils on and get the Vitaflex or reflexology point. Again, tell me there's a lot of incoming fat to the liver. This is someone do a liver gallbladder flush. It's like the cholesterol plaque. So we're just spinning. It's not that what you've done up till now wasn't great, or you've got in a certain way. We're just going to help you maybe share some information that will help block and get you to the next level. It's like a journey. It's like to the next stop place. There's obviously stuff in here I'm looking to. You're going through all your skull bones. So I don't know if there was a whiplash or something happened, or there could be between radiation or calcification. As I think osteoporosis and arthritis and everything else, but bone loss, again, lack of absorption. And this is in, they do the different sutures and stuff, and corneal sutures and stuff, and sagittal sutures in the skull.
Can that
So it could have
show?
been a head injury, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Can that show my pineal gland?
We can go into different things. Right now I'm just watching what it's targeting right now. Right now it's going through, it's doing a systems analysis, so that's what I'm looking at. It's going through your spine, like the T9 and stuff. It's finding inflammation in the L2. You may have had lower back problems, but really it's an infection, or think of it like a candida yeast infection in the spine.
Right.
You know, that's really what this is. And so that's why when we apply the essential oils along the back, right, it gets right in there. And that actually just opened up to exactly what I wanted to talk to you. I love when that happens. Okay, so what we do is we actually apply the essential oils. You don't have to be a massage therapist. You can look up raindrop technique, and anyone can drop essential oils, 4 or 5 drops along the back if you want. You can put some massage oil. I don't care if you have coconut oil. I don't care if you have olive oil for salad dressing. This is not rocket science. It's food.
Right.
And don't get any more, in here. You don't have to take years of, anatomy and physiology to do that, to learn how to put it in. And because they're dealing with this on a frequency level, again, plants have colors.
Right.
Plants have chakra colors. So when you have cacao, it's a purple food. It's a noble thing. So it's going to affect the crown and everything below it. It's going to start fixing everything. If you had purple carrots instead of orange, you'd start getting better. Eggplants, blueberries, goji berries, all that stuff up in here. So they affect the different organs, the chakras, and they go into, again, what you're talking about. Where's the pineal and the amygdala? Where's our memory, fear, trauma storage? Right in here. That's the horse, the third eye stuff. So let's get them both back into balance. And so those energy centers are there. And so that's why you want to start repairing the brain, or that center up in here. And that's your tree oils, the tree of life. You've got to come all the way up here and oscillate. So that's what we're doing. We're fixing all these different organs. It looks like you're having a field day. You're going to virtual doctor school. You're going to Kieran's calm in there. So that's actually what's happening.
This is like
not just oils, by the way. It's cleansing. It's detox. It talks a lot about what's in your home, what's in your products. Cleaning out your stuff, making sure you've got natural-based cleansers. Most women, and I know because most women are looking after their places, but they haven't read a label. And so every store, it doesn't matter what it is. When I went into Brockville and I went to Auden, well, that's what I did. I'm brand new into here. I had to go find my natural doctor, my colon hydrotherapist, and I had to go find the natural stores here. So even in Winners, in all those major stores, even the Walmarts are getting into organic. And again, that's a lower class. That's like coming up a notch.
right.
And that's like, if you want to marry, do you want to have your beloved, a noble beloved, or do you want to have something second, third, fourth class that's not intended for you to start with? And that's law of attraction. And that's really where the bloodline is so important. When I ask everyone, it's what is your blood? We all talk about 80-70% water. That really is reflective of our blood. It's the blood is our water. It's the rivers of life. And so where you are based on trajectory on ley lines and vortex lines and dragon lines and all that stuff, it's based on the bloodline. And so the most important thing you can do is find out what your blood type is, your RH factor. And anyone can get that done at their local, whatever, blood services, Red Cross, doctors can get it. It's 1 drop of blood and that's it. They can type and factor you. I'm not into donating and because they sell women and they sell blood. And it's used to go to some of these RH negative alien draconian factors.
Right.
And they sell the women's DNA. And that's what funds the entire banking system, is the blood of the women and the women they've killed and the children they've killed. So that's why we have to stop that. But it is imperative people know their blood type and factor.
Right.
And you can get a swab and then find out what your it's talking to me back here. What your it's called mtDNA, mitochondrial Eve, or mitochondrial women. Your mother, your mother, your mother. So and so begat so and so begat so and so, because the women started when they lost the patrilineal, or when they lost the matrilineal lineage, like who you came off of for inheritance law, hereditary law. When you lost that clan or your tribe or your gens, then what they did is when they started marrying, they started taking on the patriarchal system, and they lost all their inherent land titles and rights. So that's why it's really important. So the only way you can trace that right now, it's not just genealogy, but that could take you just about whatever, is to get a swab done. You can get a kit on the internet or just look at your local genetics labs for an empty DNA, because you need to do like a maternity test. Everyone has to have a maternity test these days.
Say that test again slower. Say that test again slower.
MT, short for mitochondrial, MT, DNA test. And you can look up on YouTube. There's a lot there on telegony and a lot on mitochondrial Eve or mitochondrial DNA. I mean, it's very mind-blowing that people don't realize that when they have children, for the women, that, like I said, it's not just that man you're with. It's every ancestral, everyone you've ever been in contact with is like computer programs that's being downloaded into this new product.
Oh.
And that's why the children are dying so much faster. But they can also repair. And you're seeing some of the children coming in with actually their third strands or star seeds activated.
Right.
And that's why the first thing is to shut them down with the thimerosal or the heavy metals and the viruses and bacteria, and shut those children right down immediately. So that's why it's really imperative. And you have no idea how I've looked after children and stuff like that have basically, they didn't just have a little fainting, they went into a coma. They've reacted and just about died. So the only way we could repair them was through stuff like this biofeedback or autism and stuff like that, and get them going. But that's why these machines are very, again, we can become that machine and better.
Right.
This is the poor facsimile of what we can potentially be when you're activated with your triple spirals and all the strands up, because you'd be able to do all this. And people can have parts of it, but they don't have it all. And the other thing too is that in order to have this, we could have, like, everyone should have their own coolant machine. They should have all this on their own software. Everyone should have this for free. It should just be automatic, you know, and not have been kept for the elite or the private sector or the royalty as opposed to nobility. And from a noble point of view, everyone should have access to this. Everyone is precious.
This is like jumping ahead 200 years.
Yeah. And then some.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what frees those soul traps off people or blockages, you know, on that. And that's what I'd really love to see. You know, I know the technical end, I'm just really great at alchemy in the kitchen, but real alchemy is that you don't require anything either. You just are, you're just being here. And so that's part of it. And I flip back and forth, you know, in there. And the most important thing is like learning the emotional release here. This is by Dr. Carolyn Mean. And so we'll talk about some of that. So it doesn't matter what your disease is, and you come to me. Go see a colonic, get some oils, and talk to me in a few days. And that's what I was very impressed by Dr. Andre Vatkar here. That was the same approach he did to people. He's got all the machines and stuff with that. But the first thing is you go see him as a medical doctor, right? Trained in Moldavia and Russia and stuff. That's how the doctors are trained appropriately. And the doctors are actually in the women or the shaman or the klanmothers, like the white bear over the whole thing again too. Bering Strait and the bear thing, and even that area that was by the Stargate by Eden was run by the bear.
Is that still doing something?
Aren't you having fun? Now what are you doing?
Because I can smell like bacteria.
Yeah, yeah. As it starts eliminating out of your system, for sure.
And my right eye is getting warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold.
Yeah. So again, you're having an experience. You're now a contactee. You're not only a contactee, Andrew. You're an experiencer.
It's like everybody has to have it done. This is the coolest, most bizarre, coolest thing. Amazing.
Okay, now I'm going to show you something different. Okay. Remember, this is an extension. This is life extension technology. This is beyond Reiki and stuff too, and
right.
Quantum and Theta. So a lot of people, like I said, they see things and feel things, but not appropriately opened. Okay.
Well, I'm tasting the penny again.
Yep. Yeah, because again, it's repair, open, clean, open, release. You know, that's kind of what we're doing, and we're going from the inside out. So that's what oils do too. Is you put it inside, and you're clean from the inside out.
Right.
Okay. That's why we're doing that. And the same thing with this. Microwaves are dangerous.
Right.
Some wireless is totally dangerous. Some direct energy is very dangerous and HARP. But what this angel does, I can also use HARP for benevolent purposes too. Can you use that or reverse technology or reverse code or whatever we want to do, come back to 0 point and use it for healing technologies. You know, that's why people too that have smart meters and stuff, they better have that thing all wrapped up in like aluminum on the inside of their thing, because they're getting pulsed with this stuff, and watch the plasma technology that they're doing with, because the plasma interacts with your plasma and your blood.
Right.
And again, it's designed, it's what we call AI or PPAI, which is a predatory pandemic pathogenic. And I'm going to add now one more P, plasma, artificial intelligence. Okay? And so this direct computer interfaces with you. It interfaces with your blood. It interfaces with every frequency on you. And that's why I can use the computer as a facilitated healing methodology too. Because
I just had like a headache on my right side for like a second and a half, and it went away.
Yep. Yeah. And while we're hooked up, we're doing what we can to heal it. And we put organ fuels, and we can put cleansing of fuels. I can just, if I may share a few fun things.
Yeah.
I told you about my colonic thing with don't have cheese whiz, because it was brain dead, right? You can see your tubes come out with cheese whiz coming out. And they wonder why they have Alzheimer's, you know. Can't think anymore in a stroke. Anyway, but like the oil things, I have had people that were, like I said, paralyzed, that were in wheelchairs get up and walk within a very short time. And I use this in combination, the oils and the biofeedback on colonic tables. I do it also in massage. I use amethyst radiant beds as well. I get through Christine Van Aert at biomatcanada.com. You know, like I said, people want to do oils. I'm not here to sell anything, because everything eventually will be a gift, you know, and that's the way we've got to come, is there's more than enough here. But I use the things to, like, you know, Wild Roses B&B. Rose John can get things, you know, if people want different suppliers to go get it however they want. There's no lack of it. But some of the stories and stuff I've seen, I've had people that have had, like, right to the point where they've had gangrene. I mean, black flesh, candida eating your foot away, right? You're being eaten, composted from the inside out, because you have no energy. You have no grounding anymore, no minerals, right? Not even on this plane of existence almost. And just by putting the oils on and stuff like that, or doing this kind of machinery, they've stopped surgery. So just alkalis in the water. So it really is about water and salt, those two things. And that's really what is high concentrated also in the essential oils. That's why they look like water. But they're able to penetrate interdimensionally or through every chakra. It's a tribal type of medicine, because it's able to co-create that plant. Then you start becoming part of that plant. Right? And then you'll have maybe some reverence and respect for the earth and the planet, and be at peace here. So if you're at peace there, they're trying to communicate to you.
I'm smelling like bleach. Strong.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Everyone's experience is different, because you're pulling things out. And again, volatility.
Yeah.
Smell
is that like outgassing or something?
Yeah. Yeah, you're off-gassing it out.
Yeah.
And I've had people who've gone through chemo or been around things. I've had people that were in the military and stuff like that, being in the bomb squad, and then releasing. They go, I haven't smelled that for a long time. And then, or, you know, it was affecting something that they touched in the military, certain chemicals like 20, 30 years ago, and we released it, and then they're totally normal. They don't have their arthritis. They don't have their aches and pains, and they're not, you know, disabled vets anymore. But the same thing too, you know, like I said, this is where we're moving towards, you know, for people. And, you know, people that have been autistic, like I said, I've seen just about every condition reverse if people wanted to. Throw away their glasses, get away their thing, get away with the prescription. There are ways to do it. And this isn't the be all and the end all, or the, you know, the silver.
Yeah, this is like
it's part of the equation, because it's education.
Right. This is the one bad thing, but good thing is how we've been kept in the dark for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you can imagine, this was only kept for the elite. This is not anything new. Right. It's not just Tesla showing up. There's your brain, so you're fixing your brain. Again, you're fixing the neural network. I don't want to be part of the World Wide Web. I'm part of the tribal, right? It's picking up, they're finding blocks like little, you know, what do you call it, a cyst, a stone, a tumor, whatever. Whether it's benign, malignant, whatever. You're getting a collection of garbage in there.
I just saw 2 orbs under my peripheral vision.
What did you see?
2 orbs.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had people all of a sudden, even just doing the oils or different parts of this, all of a sudden start seeing, or they see the colors, or I've done some people where, and I used to just do people, because I do people. It's like prayer, goes anywhere. And we did some memory and things like that, and they started speaking in original tongues again. And we had to go use translators to figure out what they were saying. Release our ships. Don't touch our DNA. But again, they speak in different things, or people have their brains have become the indigo they see in files. They've accessed the computer files. So again, this is what you're fixing right now. So it's doing something in the eye. So it's back to the eye.
It.
And it's kind of like peeling back the layers. I hit this, I ate that, I did this. This is a form of time travel.
Right.
Okay? This is having an out-of-being or out-of-body experience. Most people are near death.
Right.
So if you can give them an experience like this, sometimes that's the difference between just wanting to, get up in the AM and be happy. And again, it's not just one organ. That's the problem that we did. We have all these specialists. Doctor for this, specialist for this. The idea is to do it all yourself and not be there.
Right.
Not part of the system. So this is the kind of technology I love. And you still have to apply it here. If you're acidic, well, we still have to alkalize. Well, I'm still doing this. I'm still doing some repair while I'm here. I may have had classes since I was little. I'm still repairing some of the eye damage and stuff and the gamma. And again, that's mind control. That's programming that we had, because people are doing things based on wrong programs, someone else's story, which is the belief system. It's you keep lying to yourself.
Right.
Pay taxes, be taxed, be a light worker, work. Yeah. That means go to higher service, be a servant.
What are we looking at here?
Again, now it's flipping to the intestine. Yeah, you're just kind of flipping. So it says, okay, well, we got that maybe a little bit unblocked, and it's like playing, then I go to here. In matrix energetics, we used to call it, Richard would call it 2.0. I think it's more than 3, but you're the 3rd. But you're going around people, whether you think you're scanning them or in therapeutic touch or theta touch or whatever, but you're going around. And I'd find something here, open it up, and then it opens up another meridian. So then the next point is something else. And it could be on you, in you, or in the field. And it could be in the field coming forward, or it's in something behind you. And is it matrilineal side or patrilineal side or something like that? So depends on the genetics. But right now you're going back to the intestine. So now it says, well, whatever. So there may be another segment of when the colon it has to clean now. And maybe it's to the adrenals so that your adrenals start functioning, or maybe it's going to open up something on that left side to the eye, and all of a sudden your eye is going to warm up because we're getting some extra minerals up there that you haven't had maybe for a while. So it's creating a internal, so you have internal combustion, by the way. That's what you're doing. You're heating up. So I don't have to give you. You should see if I gave you a nice and flushed out of here. We could do that for another session. But you will see people actually like what you're doing. You're experiencing heat, and I will see people starting to flush. So if people saw us like half an hour ago, your colors changed. I can actually see a flushing over here, because as we open things up, it's like roadways. If it's blocked in its dam and you got all this snow or something in the middle, or a dirt pile, but we open it up, then you're going to start seeing people radiating and glow, and start operating with their third eyes open and stuff, and having the ears to hear and the eyes to see, right? All those extrasensory perceptions that we are actually gifted. That's why we have a metagene factor, and that's why people were being harvested or these illegal contracts, right? Because we're able to co-create like this. This is just the potential. Can you imagine? And this is like old stuff, Andrew.
I know, it's
old stuff. Can you imagine? We have actually laid everything out that's potential that we could have. So if we can get people like freeing their minds on something like that, or educated. And there is, like Quantum Alliance, there's Gage Tarrant, there's the Quantum University. You can look up your SCIO biofeedback. I think this is the best days ever. It's the most exciting days ever.
Yes.
Yeah. And every session's different, like I said, and every practitioner is different. And it's not going into a clinical lab going, this is the lab value, you stay within this spectrum. That's not the way this is. Life is dynamic, and it changes, and so do the values. And when you have the Earth shaking at 5 point, Schulman residency shaking at 7.83, and now it's going closer to 16, well, that was old information. It's like you're operating on Windows 3 or Windows 6, and people are on Windows 7, 8, and 10, and right now what you're seeing is people can't communicate with each other. They had Pentium this and Mac this. What's the confusion of the languages?
Right.
Or Linux and, Ubuntu. I love Linux and Ubuntu. It's all free share. Takes a little bit more, but, there's a whole spectrum of people that just gift without any commerce in Linux Ubuntu, right? As opposed to you being on Windows with the PC and someone else in Mac and Safari. Those are things to explore. Are they out there? Yes. But that's for people to gain things. And I know I've got 3 different computers, Windows 7, Windows 8, and 10, or Windows 8, and 10, and I can't function in hardly any of them anymore. So they're not even the same thing, two computers. But like that's the same thing too. That's the kind of gifts that are helpful to me, is things that help everyone else. So I don't know. You're having a field day with that eye, whatever you're doing. You keep doing something, and then you come back to it, and again, it's like doing acupuncture. You're going into different points.
Yeah, I was injured.
You are the whole entire tribal Laniakea galactic universe, cosmos, everything, solar system, and down into this. So, you just get one piece of information, it's boom, to boom, and that's kind of what we do. But, everyone's here on a soul journey, and everyone's healing, and that's part of learning law again, just because that's someone else's story, and they're acting, they're a person acting like they think they should.
Right.
Doesn't mean they're standing in truth either, and I don't have to follow someone else's, act. So that's part of going into there. And when we start learning the no commerce thing and helping each other and really treating people as brothers and sisters, that's when we're going to really see, this earth turn into heaven on earth, or, a paradise on earth here. And that's the vision we have. There isn't anything we can't transmute and clean up right now, with a little help from our ET extraterrestrial friends that are here to help.
Right.
Whether they're Arcturian or different things, all sorts of things we're seeing on allskycam.com, right? But unfortunately, we've got a whole bunch of Dracos and alien bases trying to pull them off this planet, which I don't want to. They need to be cleaned out. So they're really like the deep underground parasite infection. And really they're showing us where all the weaknesses were. And then it becomes your strength. And they've done what they have to do, and they can leave and transmute out of here, or be transmuted by whoever has to transmute them. Right? It's energy. We don't die. And once you pull that out of your
mentality, yeah.
And get to the perfected. So, but we have to be very careful. I have a lot of people that say, no, you can just pray over this, or I just go in and I just do these clearings over people and transmute it. I mean, if everyone did that, and just, which you should be doing anyway, but you are that. And what happens is when you think you're doing all this over people and stuff, it's only with what your base is, and it may not be with the intent. So even you can have the purest, as they think, great, good intents. That's what nurses do, thinking they're giving you a vaccine when in fact they're slowly killing you and your children, because it's designed to actually go into the children. So the vaccine, you get 2 vaccinated parents, it actually is designed for the children. Yeah, if you actually know what the actual thing is. But that's what I'm saying with people that think, they can just, I mean, everyone that was praying every day, we would have no diseases, let's face it, and there would be no hospitals. So it does not take out the Monsanto. I don't care how much you pray over it, and the people think so much mind over matter. Because the different substances and frequencies, it just changes and alters the frequency a little. That's why they can see it as changing the pattern with the moto and stuff. It does not clear what's out of there. It just doesn't.
Right.
And like I said, that's the same thing with the machine. We put you through a scanner. It's like going through a security or an X-ray scanner with us, going into heaven. These are the pearly gates. We're just measuring if you are going through or not. This is the pearly gates. We're scanning up here, but we can scan everything. So you become your own gatekeeper this way. And that's one of the things that you're seeing and you're experiencing.
Right, yeah.
And that's part of the thing, is that you become that beacon. And
I smell car wax now.
all those things
that's so bizarre.
We touch that shouldn't be in our field because they're inorganic. You're trying to release them.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's
and so that's really powerful. And even in the memory sense, it's were you going through to, what did I touch? Okay, was it that McDonald's burger? Was it that hamburger thing? Was it that whatever I had, pork chop? The chemicals that are in there, you're slowly pulling this stuff out. One cell at a time. You're trillions of cells inside. It takes a while to do this. But the fact that you can experience it and have an experience, that's just the coolest thing ever for me.
Yeah.
And that's what actually makes my thing in there quite exciting. So, like I said, we could do a very short biofeedback thing here in 15, 20 minutes. But now you're having an experience because now you're staying on and we're doing some things. And, is it something that we want to look at, a little bit more? You can put fields around people. Right? We all imagine, oh, well, I'm just going to put a field and a bubble and a protection and all that. But what are you really doing? Again, the thought's there, but you can't congruently bring it down into the physical, where I can actually take that, something spiritual or a nano, and scientifically and through the arts, send it to you. This whole planet was created on frequency. It was made up on as a sharing thing.
Right.
An agreement of peace between the people, and the people that set it up are still here. It's, for people to realize that they still have connections to that. And when you get one system that wants to corrupt another, that's why we're not one nation, and we're not one world, and we're not one race. We were originally, and everyone here originally was off the 13. That's tribal, off one of the 13 nations and connections. So even this idea of saying, nope, we're just going to be one, that's not correct. You are a beautiful compilation, what we call the whirling rainbow, but you're a beautiful compilation of everything. It's like saying you're just going to have one color in you. You're not. Your frequencies, it's multi-frequency, multi-dimensional beings. Multinational, is another way to put it, but we're multinational. And it's tracing which one you actually belong to. Where's your mother? Which part of that nation? Which one of the multi-nations do you belong to? So it really gets that simple. It's not anything complicated. But, you can do your coat of arm and DNAs, and that's what provides your diplomatic immunity and your diplomatic shields. Just because there's someone with a, little sheriff's badge or something with the 6 star from the Israel tribes with their Solomon seal, it doesn't mean that I'm part of theirs. I might have peace with them, but it doesn't mean I'm part of their tribes and they have any authority on me. But I think you know which one you do belong to.
I smell like a moldy sleeping bag right now.
It's amazing. It truly is. I never second guess someone's experience. Like I said, I've had people come up and speak different languages. They've had out-of-body experiences. They have been paralyzed and get up and walk. They've had diseases and walk out without them. Right? Are you going to be different? Yeah. Is the emotion profiling going to be there? Totally different, because the chemicals block it, and law of attraction. So a lot of times it's like someone, they say they can push your buttons. Well, they won't be able to push the buttons.
Right.
Even with your mom and your genetics there, they're at a different genetic thing. So they're different. Anyway, we probably said we're going to keep this to half an hour. This is going to be a long upload. But this could be for your own just things. You're getting the experience now, and so when we actually go to do a biofeedback, we could do it in 20 minutes, half an hour. But at least this is for your own records. You might just want to keep it with that, because I'm keeping your information for you.
Yeah.
And we could do a fun demo one later. Like I said, there's no limit to this. So, just remember that you actually are the temple. Your temple is here. It's holy. It's like beyond church. This whole planet is my temple. I'm hereditary, technically. I'm the Stargate temple, keepers of it. And so now I'm getting really particular. So allowed in, who's not now.
What?
But that's having the love and the respect and cherishing your own system on there. Most of it is we can do with nutritional. I'm just looking at nutritional things here. And that's why it's so important as people are learning to get into the higher dimensions, because we can, I don't use the word manifest, but we can create and then co-create very quickly together.
There's something going on here.
Yep. Yep. And so, like I say, if you've got a kidney thing here and there's a block here and I open it up, well, of course, something's in here. So I think it's really, really important that way. But that's what we would do. And like a lot of times, I mean, I could take the water or something and put it on here and then program your essential oils into here, or like salves, or you could put your essential oil on and you just apply it every day. So you're getting the session every day. You know, so I mean, just like I'm giving it to you, I'm transmitting you the remedies through the airwaves. That's the advantage of being an angel. But that can send it there. And like I said, Andrew, no two practitioners are the same. None of them have the same security clearance or the access technology or the knowledge.
My saliva glands are really going.
Yeah, we're doing things. So again, the longer we stay, the more we do it. And with people, like I said, sometimes it's the education. Is it awareness? It's not, people aren't dying from drugs and all that sort of stuff. What they're dying from is ignorance. One of the, you know, not having the awareness, but also ignoring the existing tribal laws that we have. Everything's about co-creation with the plant, the animals, everything on this planet, including the people.
Right.
You know, and if we can't co-create within ourselves, how do you extend it outwards? So that's the key. And that's why even just being able to taste it now, that's huge.
It's so bizarre. Cool, but bizarre. Amazing.
Yeah, you're just getting more and more red. I'm watching more and more energy and oxygen flow through here.
It's like static electricity.
Yeah, you're actually like, you know, if I dumped a whole bottle of oregano on someone, they turn red like that, or cinnamon. Don't do that, by the way. But
Or nice, yeah.
1 or 2 drops is fine, you know. But, you know, again, that's what's happening. It's cleaning out, and it's bringing the crunk out. And so as you're bringing the stuff out, you're smelling it because it's volatility. It's like having a candle. That's why I go into someone's place and they've got Febreze. Well, I got a headache the minute I got in the door because I can't handle it because I can smell the volatility because I'm cleaned out pretty well.
Yeah,
not totally yet, but I'm on my way.
It feels like about 80 degrees in here now.
Oh, what?
It feels like about 80 degrees in here now.
Yeah. And again, as you start getting them up there, because we've been like disconnected. And so that's why people can have strokes, heart attacks, and have tumors growing and have like 3-foot tapeworms in them and they don't feel anything. But you got to remember, we've been shut down since we were children. And so I'm opening something else that's been shut down since you were probably vaccinated. So in essence, we're becoming a new child again. It's like tapping into your inner child.
And it's 49 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, well, you get to have another 49 years, but it's just pure fun now. And that's what you say is very childlike, you know. And that's part of you don't get to enter the kingdom because those are the kings with their doms and the bankings. It has to do with entering the mother's love or going back into that womb, being nurtured and stuff. You're accessing actually the mother's technology or the divine feminine within you.
Yeah, and the better you can make me perform, the better I can perform for you.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of that, you know, and that's part about learning that things with people. So like right now, whatever, it's over the patella, your word, knee. So it was doing something over in the muscles, joints, cartilage and stuff. It was just on your knee, or we medically would call it patella.
Wow.
So I don't know what it was. So it must have been an old injury. So again, you're time traveling things, like everything's connected, you know. And so when you do it the first time, it's maybe getting rid of what you've been exposed in the last couple of weeks, you know, and then you go back a couple more weeks and then a couple months and then go back a couple years. And then when you've been at it as long as I have, and you get to go back, like, it was like nursing, going, oh my gosh, I smell that thing. Ugh. I got like 1990 some, you know. And then when you start going back into some of this childhood, I've had people where they've tapped into this. This is very powerful stuff, too, for people with neurolinguistic programs or have had rape, trauma, post-traumatic stress, residential schools, soldiers, veterans, because you can do a lot of great things and get the essential oils and the right things and then just take off the charge off of it. And as they say, you get to discharge. You're being discharged. It's zero-pointed. There's no more charge to it, whether it's positive or negative, you know. And then that way you can be just totally, just move on.
Right.
Yeah. That's part of it. But now you're back to your colon, so it's found another thing. And it's just like, to me, it's like search and rescue. Or it's just seeking, like, a heat-sinking missile. It's looking for where it's got to go next to clean out.
I smell ammonia.
Yep. Yeah. And again, as it starts off-gassing, coming out of you, you're just going to go, oh, okay, well, maybe I was using some ammonia to clean something. Like right now, it just heated up the whole, actually digestive, the inner stomach, gallbladder just a second ago, kind of like an x-ray. So it's heating up into there. So it's doing a release in there. And again, the L2 is still quite degenerated. So we're seeing degeneration within the spine. Again, lack of nutrition to the core. I remember what radiation, it's like a microwave. It goes to your core. And all your cells, everything's cellular. When we talk about cellular communication, it's in the bones, right? And that's in the bone marrow. That's where your blood cells are made.
When I had my back surgery, they nicked my spinal cord and the fluid came out. Yeah.
Dangerous stuff, and headaches, you can have some pretty major trauma and stuff from that. But now it's going back into stuff of things. It's going, actually right now it's kind of like going back into the womb. So there's something, whether it's a cellular memory or something while you were in your something, talk about inner child, but that's actually going back. Or some people tend to think past lives or this life. Is it something here now? Was it something you picked up while you're in your mother's womb?
That's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is amazing.
Yeah,
we're even carried here just for 9 months. You're picking up everything that your mother's picking up. You hear every conversation. You're just part of everything.
When you have the blinders off, it is incredibly amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Life is amazing. Being a mother of 2 beautiful children, they're like my best teachers. So, being able to do that is amazing. And to see that, but to realize what we were part of.
Right.
And that's part of the teachings of they call TP, but the lodge or the tribal, but the teachings of the women, that they come back into being caretakers, protecting the waters and the lands and stuff too, and protecting their sacred kin domains, their, things. So, and learn to claim back where they're supposed to be and where they can claim back, on their, not claim, you're actually standing in truth. There's no claims to be made. There's nothing to file in. So it's not really a claim. You're just standing actually in truth now. That's what we're gifting people, especially the women. They can come back into doing their tribal stuff and actually stand on that land, and no mortgages, no taxes, no whatever. They can just do it like Anastasia. Let's go plant that garden, indoors these days. Right. And somewhat above and some below. So as people learn, they're going to learn that the eco-villages and the thriving will be underground. So, but I love this, because you're coming back. We're coming back to what was designed, It's seeing what you did. Yeah, every time it's kind of like, it's kind of like forgiveness. You know what I mean? It's like, oops, made that mistake, or oops, I ate that thing, or oops, I went to whatever. And it's being released. Yeah. Yeah, there's something now in the shoulders, up in here, both of them.
I can feel something, yeah.
Yeah, and this is going back into the hypothalamus, into here, in the brain. So I'm watching actually kind of time travel fix stuff. So I don't know what it is, but everyone has their own unique and divine experience on this. Like I said, just because you have a certain thing that's presenting, and then people go to their doctors or whatever and stuff too. Again, going back into the male reproductive and into the testicular thing and the vas deferens. And again, that's why so many people are getting up, especially men. They get up at night, they're peeing, they're having dribbling, they have trouble with erections, they have trouble with ejaculations. And again, the prostate cancers, as you said before, urological problems, getting chirps and increased, with the prostate and stuff like that. And that has to do with everything with the colon. So once you start doing the enemas and colonics, but like I said, if you maybe switch solutions, try some alkaline solutions for a while. But it's going after something. It's picking up definitely little cystic tumors in different places. So it's not in 1 or 2. We have them all over. It's like a gallstone. You don't have 1 or 2. They don't call it cancerous gallbladders rule, but you got them everywhere, And so that's what we want to do. We want to get these little blockages removed.
It's
and like
really
I said,
hot.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always think of the cancer clinic as people that are stuck on Windows 3. In fact, Most of them don't even know what Windows 3 is, let alone 4, 5, 6, and whatever, 7, you know. And they're just dealing with information that's totally misinformation, disinfo, and it's a belief system that's totally corrupted. They have a virus, a bacteria, that, like a Trojan horse, that's totally corrupted their computer systems. You know, that's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a lack of, like I said, information. People are dying.
Right.
And right now, when you can access technology at different levels, again, because everyone's got a different frequency, or there's a place for everyone. It's in there. Now it's going to small intestine. Now it's going to something to the lungs. I'm just watching it flip through. You know, so again, you're seeing what you're doing. Just keeping an eye on you. It's like very cool. It's like the coolest form of
Yeah.
I've ever done.
This is like, I'm trying to think of the movie where they do a body scan and then.
Yeah. I feel like in Star Trek or Stargate SG-1, right? That's what we're doing. We're bringing Stargate technology to you.
Right.
Right? It's always been here, but now you're allowed to see it.
Even going.
We're part of the disclosure. I'm part of the disclosure team.
Right. Even going all the way back to like the day the Earth stood still.
Yes.
They did a scan on the guy. I can't think of his name now. I mean the character in the movie.
I didn't quite the whole thing, so. But you know that's it. And as people say, like Star Trek, you know, like you said, the head of every ship was basically one of the women. And that's what klanmother was. She was the head of the. She commanded all the fleets and stuff. They were beyond the generals and stuff like that. So the head of the actual all the forces and stuff like that, or fleets, are basically the women. So we have our own stuff. So
my hip really hurts now. My hip was pain in my hip for a minute. My left hip.
Yep. Hip's connected to the small intestine, so probably if they did something to the intestine, it was the referred point through reflexology.
Yeah, it's doing it again.
Yep.
Something
that's pulling or repairing something. So there could be a loss of bone in the hips or something. That's why people have what? Hip replacements.
It's like a small ache. Yep. It's gone now.
Yep. We do very quick surgery. Very, very painless. You know, in there, and when you think about that, it's very much like bones, you know, on Star Trek. That's what we're doing. I just have, we're just interfacing that way. It's the same thing. I'm just using a tricorder. We call it a trivector. It's the same thing. Yeah. That's simple. Goes up here, down to you, even through the fiber optics and stuff. I mean, our power of mind is faster than Mach 1. You know, when you know actually how things, the speed of time is, or the tone, it's way beyond the speed of light. So, and then normally what I do is I have you just rest for about 3 days. Lots of salt water, lots of lemon water, lots of whatever. Pamper yourself for about 3 days. And it's very normal that you want to actually rest, right? Because you just want to go back in and let it repair. It's like having surgery. It's not any different. This is like nano internal surgery. Molecular, I'm doing cellular surgery here. So what we're doing is we just want you to relax for a couple days. And in about 3 days, so tomorrow's kind of you're like getting rid of all the junk because you're smelling it coming out, right?
Right.
Let's wait till, you know, and so you might have a bowel movement and might not smell or look too pretty tomorrow. Okay? And it's not unusual that you'll have viruses, bacteria, you'll sometimes see larvae, sometimes people see tiny little threads like worms or liver flukes come out. Their stools will look different for a couple days, and then about 3 days you just feel lighter. It's like, whew, okay, let's go take on the next one. But as you're feeling the mental clarity,
yeah.
the memory and the fog.
My throat's sore. My throat is sore.
Yeah, that's a huge thing in there too. And like I said, we can go to each different thing. So, you know, whether you're going into hearts and different things like that, you can do repair on virtually anything. That's why I absolutely love this. You know, a lot of people have heart things and they don't realize they're not looking at the thymus and stuff. When you look at your whole endocrine system, it's not just adrenals and thyroids and parathyroids and everything else and pineal and pituitary. It's a whole chain of things.
One of them's the thymus. So, I mean, we test a lot of things most people have never, ever thought to do, you know, on something like that. You know, the corpus luteum, we can look at brainwave functions, the whole entire nervous system and stuff like that coming in, all your senses, things along that line, something in the throat and stuff too. And again, it's the emotion connected to that. So when you go back to, well, we might use an oil called Sacred Mount to deal with all the emotions around the throat, thyroid, and communications. Because why are people getting charged to speak to people? That's ridiculous. It should all be free.
Right.
Tribal, we should just communicate. There's nothing impeding us, blocking, or charging us. Okay? So that alone, I mean, just for people to get the idea of like fifth dimension or fifth chakra, well, oh, I got, you know, oh, I was a Reiki master. I like, you know, got their like chakra back. I went, really? Is yours fixed? Are you off the grid yet? You're not paying for your whatever. And again, this is where we're going to start seeing things open up on, you know, and people don't realize the implications it really does have and what living beyond 3D is. Yeah, beyond 3D. They're printing their own things in 3D. You know, as opposed to being it and going back into fixing what the problem is. So when you start seeing some of all this 3D stuff coming out, is it also taking you away from what you're supposed to be doing, fixing it naturally? And again, looking for another surgical repair and outside external repair. So we have to watch some of these very close things because that's what transhumanism is. So you're seeing a lot of 3D organs and stuff coming in. And like super soldiers, what they're doing is they're making skin covering because they can grow, like I said, people are chimeras and stuff like that. They clone people now and sell them. You know, you can make robotic people without a frontal lobe, totally controllable, and they're walking this planet right now.
Yeah.
So we literally have got people that look like humanoid that have no souls in them. You know, and if you talk to any super soldiers, you can actually blow off an arm and they can regrow holographically a new arm in about 2-3 hours. So that's what Project DARPA, and that's what the military has right now. That's the kind of technology that they gained with the aliens that had no rights and had no authority to do that with.
Secret space program.
Secret space program, absolutely. Stuff Corey Good and David Wilcox talks about, and Randy Kramer and Daniel McMullen, Sergeant Daniel McMullen, former Sergeant Tivasard. They were all part of these things.
Right, right.
No, this isn't anything new. You know, Captain Max Steele. There's a lot of people out there. Captain Mark, you know, Phillips and stuff too. But you got to remember, we've got underground. They've got in pods growing up, like soldiers just sitting there dormant. That they just unplug them and like the Matrix, they're ready to go. Like Agent Smiths everywhere. So, you know, Men in Black. I mean, these people are groomed in the lab. They're in vitro made with the kind of technology that they so want. So, I mean, the Nazi SS is nothing compared to the Fourth Reich that they're actually trying to develop. I've met different people involved in those projects. You know, and again, they're developed so I can actually see if someone's got a chakra or something like that, or how connected they are. You know, and it goes beyond just doing pendulums and stuff and picking up energy waves, because again, most of the people are dumbed down themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I've talked to so many people that think they have all these gifts, but when you know, or see things interdimensionally, but in actuality, it's not what it is at all. You know, so I really want to caution people as to what they're doing. You know, in there, and they gotta get their own stuff together there. That's a huge thing with people. And you know, you learn to connect with people on different levels. You know, very much, because right now you have a whole different frequency thing. And I did one actually with one of the girls, another radio show host as well. We did it. Her voice was being used as a portal, and her children were actually seeing like aliens or interdimensional beings that weren't whatever coming in and out. And her children just would not sleep. They've been there about 3-4 years apparently. And the children wouldn't sleep. And these are teenagers. Wouldn't sleep in their own beds the last few years. And so we didn't tell the children what we're doing, but I did one for her just to show what I could do. You know, and she's someone that's clairvoyant and clairaudient, and she can taste stuff, just like you're tasting now. I want to clean some stuff. And we didn't tell the children, but that was the first night that the children actually went back and slept in their own rooms instead of sleeping with her in her bed. And everywhere, and by the way, it was by Denver, I'll just let you know. And it was interesting, there was snow. She said everyone on the block had snow, and whatever happened the next day, it cleared, because we did like that little pillar thing around, an energetic clearing for her and the children. And their snow melted. And so she actually planted her garden about 3 weeks ahead of everyone else.
Wow.
So again, those are very cool things.
Yeah.
She put it on the air and she talked about it, so I can talk about it. It was actually Sherry Wisdom Fisher at People's Internet Radio. So she's already done disclosure on it, so it's all loaded on, recorded on the airwaves. But otherwise, like what I do is I keep it confidential for most people. So, and this is not on the internet, so it doesn't get tapped into. This is not part of the smart system. It's separate.
Right.
Yeah. So, those are some of the different things that are available. But that was actually one of the coolest things I ever saw too. Or like I said, being in class and all of a sudden smelling, when Elise Harms did stuff like that when we were in Victoria, right? And all of a sudden we were all smelling like lilacs. So we're doing like a lilac thing, essential oils. You can totally change the whole structure. Like even the room that you're now in, you're a different frequency cleaning out that affects everything. Your mom, Colleen, and everyone else in that vicinity, animals, everything. And I can put fields around people too, like that pillar, like an organ generator. I can actually make you. That's what DNA actually activation is. We're doing like a clearing. We can actually like cosmically activate people. You're activating the DNA chips within you, by the way. So it's like reverse coding the implants. So everyone's chipped implanted, whether they like it or not. That's what a cell is.
Right.
So we're just learning how to tap into it. And I'm just like, literally, I'm like at probably baby step level compared to what I think. And I developed new forms of technology and medicine, pioneer forms myself for DNA restoration. So the more that we have, the more that we could share,
Right.
But I think today I just want you to have that experience just like you're having it. And then I can do a real short one, like I used to do demos for all the doctors. So I thought that was very cool. I went to Victoria, my children came with me. And after they were trying to get rid of the MK Ultra stuff in Saskatoon with their father and all the pedophile rings out there. But we went out there and it was amazing. And my children sat in the back and they were all excited because I came into Vancouver and I used to do open demos, right? I said, oh, you want to see what Mom's been doing? So anyway, they sat in the back and they looked. They said, we're actually teaching doctors like how to do medicine. I said, geez, thanks. So I actually taught my children how to do it. So we're in Kamloops, which is kind of funny because that's where I actually arrived, right? And so we were in a hotel room there.
Right.
And I was doing oils and raindrop. And because their father had been smoking, I had done stuff on my girl, Allie, and it started coming out like the smoke and stuff, whatever. And her feet started turning all orange when we realized it was the nicotine coming out of her system.
Wow.
So it would patch her that's why I don't do the fast, but that's what was happening. So we put the oils in and the first thing coming off her was this orange nicotine because she'd been for all these years. And again, that's why the children develop, lung cancer, whatever, they're in brain fog and they got all these toxins and they're acidic. But we did that, and then I gave them a run, and I said, you guys are better at this than I am, so this is what I got to play with. So Allie played with the butt, because there's a whole beauty thing about like getting rid of wrinkles, growing hair, enhancements and stuff like that instead of cosmetic surgery, and beauty and anti-aging things and stuff. There's one to do with buttocks. And you can actually like do increase and decrease buttocks and, change your stuff a bit. And she said something. I know what she was trying to do, but she hit something. I think increase whatever. And I said, "Oh, don't do that." And so I showed her everything else at the end of the half an hour she was done playing. I said, "What did you learn?" She says, "My mom doesn't want to have a fat butt." She was trying to resculpt me or something, right? I said, but she was just playing with buttons. I said, "Try." I went, "Oh no."
Yeah.
I don't know if I would really want to, it's different if you maybe had a very, not much there, but anyway, so it's kind of cute. And again, this is designed anyone can do it. So I went to school with people that were like plumbers, 60-year-old grandfathers, grandmothers. Again, most of these are just for their own use, or for their own people. There are a few that are clinical and practitioners like myself. There's a few of us that are in the hospital. I brought this into the hospital in the University of Saskatchewan at the US, and I've taken it in clinically into hospitals now and different centers. But right now I can do it from a distance too. So, and a lot of them, the high elite things, you'll have people go in, they'll lie down, be on an amethyst bed or just an aroma steam thing, and then the practitioner will do them like this remotely or have them in a different room even with the head stuff. But they would just come in and change the program, just like I'm switching things in and out for you. You know, and so, yeah, it's like the celebrities going for their tune-ups. This is what they do. And the royalty and the elite were doing it this way. So, but yeah, it's kind of a fun tool. There's no question. Right, now you're an experiencer.
Does that show you now, like how you looked at? Can you not hear? Can you hear me okay? Does that show like the progress that's made so far?
Yeah, we can go into different things and do retesting and stuff too. I can reboot up and do things too. We can continue doing biofeedback 24/7 if we really wanted. Like when I've had people dying in the intensive care, well, then I've just kept it on them, and you know, it's like doing surgery instead of brain surgery. Well, we are. It's like this is the highest bionic brain surgery you can get, neurosurgery. But it is really, you know,
yeah.
In the hospitals, they don't know what they're doing for the most part, and again, limited to the information that they have. So, having been a nurse, you're just playing with a real low level of outdated information, and that really is the blind leading the blind. That's what we were as registered nurses. And if you look at what nurses are, they're actually aromatherapists, reflexologists, iridologists, and can do the same.
Right.
Yeah, we can look at the progress on someone. So I can go back through, and it's more. Again, we're going back. That's like people being fixated into the what the numbers are. You don't let go of the numbers. It's what do you feel inside? How do you feel different? What's different? You just did some time traveling. You're moving through different chakras. You're moving through different universal or.
Yeah, you can really feel a lot.
Yeah.
You know, constant feedback my body's giving me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're connected. So I'm in lifetime too right now. So. I mean, it's still scanning right now, but most of the voice box that says, well, we're getting it to about 91% for this day. It doesn't mean that the whole thing is cleared right off. We don't have to deal with it because it's been a lifetime thing or genealogically. It means that that's where we're at for today. And that's as much as you can handle for today. So it depends with most people. Like that's why I try to keep just smaller sessions, but it's not that I haven't done it, you know, on there. So yeah, you know, like I said, this is a whole thing too. We could bring up a thing about the IQ.
Yeah.
The integrative quantum medical universities. You know, like I said, people can just go take classes there if they want. If they just want to learn about oils or, you know, rather than that, I'd rather see that being done that way.
If you do another aura, will it show you less black spots?
Hopefully, if you haven't done something weird, like, you know, I don't know what's.
I don't
know. Hopefully, you're dealing with some of the issues that were all those blockages out there that was allowing it. And so basically, it's not that it's bad or evil or something. It's a lack of information, and lack of flow or energy through that. It's a lack of sound toning. It's not it. It's toning up. It's tuning up inside. So I wouldn't expect to see it the same way. But, you know, I have had people where if they keep going back into conditional, if they keep going back to the hospital, they keep going back to dialysis, they keep going back into something that we have it, we clear it, and they come back and they go back into something really negative, or go back and go do a prescription, or they go back and do something yet. So sometimes, I mean, I'll see it and it comes back. Or a lot of people, let's say if they're hanging out with a bunch of people that are very ill, low level, we'll just say very low frequency people, you know, or something like that. They keep going back into that draconian reptilian satanic thing, well, then they're just going to keep getting reinfected because it's in saliva, it's in everything.
Right.
So who you hang out with is very, very important. What you eat, you touch, and drink, and clean is very important. Who you have in your periphery, you know. You know, it's like referral now. I'm almost getting to the point where I'm on Facebook, I want to go like, who referred you now? Are you referred?
Yeah.
And for me, what I did initially, I used this as a social medium because I realized that the media was controlled. And I used Facebook to contact now millions of people. I used it as a methodology, not for business, but for educational purposes. So, and that would allow people too. So if we can start doing that, then we're going to start maybe getting cleaned up enough to go start living enough, and we start using some Young Living Peace and Calming or Make Up Your Own, and we start using different things and alkalize you that you're not going to want to be smoking. And once you clean out, you start putting peppermint in your water and things like that, you don't want to smoke. You start doing lemonade and grapefruit juice and all your fruit juices, you're not going to want to be smoking.
Yeah.
You know? And I have a cute little tip I have. Do you know what it is? Did you ever hear of those hot picks or cinnamon hot sticks as a child?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to have them. But you could, or up here, or a piece of wood or something. You can get bamboo or whatever. But basically, you saturate your toothpicks in either cinnamon or, you know, something lemon or orange. But you put the wood in, it absorbs that, and you just suck on the toothpick for a while. And so the essential oils get in there, and you're still sucking on something. So you still got a little bit of the oral mental fixation thing. But it's another way to break it, rather than, you know, with me, I crack sunflower seeds or other methodologies. But cinnamon is a great way to actually get rid of, again, it's parasitical. It's like, feed me, I need that smoke, I need that chemical, I need that radiation. They need the radiation in order to survive, these entities that are in. And again, tobacco is filled with tons of microscopic microbes and pathogens and parasites in the tobacco leaves, which are not killed, by the way. It's like a PPAI of, I'm going to remember that, PPAI of basically tobacco and cigarette and marijuana leaves. So a lot of that is concentrated in there, and that feeds that addiction too. So there are different ways I use, because we do have, like, you know, stop smoking stuff too. And usually the physical stuff, like what you're pulling out of you, is usually gone in 2-3 days. So if you can get past the first 2-3 days, it's no big deal. It's really mind over matter at that point. You know, and just doing things like, you know, I am a non-smoker, I am a non-smoker, I don't smoke. You know, because we don't realize that's what's causing that black work field, by the way. When you smoke or use drugs or prescriptions, that causes the black work field. It allows for things to come in. So when you're breathing chemicals in and out, you're breathing or taking in, it's like taking a laser right through you. So it goes through all your auric fields, so you lose your diplomatic immunity. That's what smoking does. And that's why I used to go just wild, because, you know, in the tribal white elder, right? And I'd walk out of sweat lodges and stuff because they were smoking in there, or they think it's okay to bring the Maureen Number 7 or whatever your Camels, whatever the smoke packages were. Right, and that lodge, or that sweat lodge, is to represent the woman and the carrying of the womb of the woman, the life, and they bring in death sticks and their radiation. So I just go wild when I start seeing pop and a coffee, crap in there and chips. That's not a gift.
Yeah.
That's an insult to the body.
Yeah.
It is, and that's part of right now too. Just so you know, that's why I see most of my clients this way, because I can't handle can't have them in my periphery, like just smoking and smelling off everything. It permeates everywhere. And you know, I was a smoker, I know. You know, I grew up with a mother that was a smoker, and people that smoked around me. But you know, I just, sensitivity now. You know, once you get your brain function, it's like you learn a lot, you don't go back. And same thing, like, you know, coffee and stuff, I would do it differently now. You know, in there, so I prefer to use oils. We've got tobacco essential oil, like I said. And if people are doing that, better than those damn e-cigarettes that are killing them all over again.
Yeah, is that's still doing something, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because I smell cedar.
Yeah.
Cedar wood.
Yeah. So all those different oils we were talking about before and stuff too, it's going through your. Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And you know, it's a trip and a half. It's beyond a mind trip. You don't have to do LSD and ayahuasca to get here either.
Right, right.
You know, it's natural. You get your own journey. You get to trip out your own trip chair. But yeah, what you're doing is you're going through here, and you can smell that. But that memory, then all of a sudden, it's like oils are tied directly to the emotion, to the amygdala. That's why it opens up the treasure chest in there. But it lets like that Pandora's box out first, and then you get into the kind of Akashic records, and then you'll be able to access all sorts of cool things.
Yeah, I'm smelling rubbing compound now.
Yeah.
It's like car wax stuff, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
But again, did you do it? Were you around it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you absorb it? Or are you trying to clear it out of your system right now? And the neat thing is, like, when you get back to the cedar wood and the spruce, and I'm smelling like roses, I'm smelling like whatever, there's going to be always an emotion associated with it. And it's not the same for every individual. So, for example, if a girl broke up with her boyfriend or her whatever, husband or something, or divorced under a certain smell, or there was something around, that can trigger it again. Or you were told you're not leaving the table till you finish that Brussels sprout, right? There's an emotion connected, and it's not the same for every individual.
Right.
So what's going to uplift someone else? And so sometimes the things that we don't like are the things we have to deal with, in there. Lavender's a very funny one. Some people really love it and they don't. And some people, because it has to do with abandonment issues or atonement. And a whole bunch of things. So many oils are not just specific to an organ, they're specific to many emotions. If you're going to do with a heart, there could be 10 different plants. I don't know, one might be to do with loneliness, heartstrings, being protected, brokenhearted. It's not just one or two things. So the smell, when you go through that a lot, like you're smelling seaweed, that's very relaxing to most people. It's grounding. It's being in the woods. It's in the forest. It's being, the plants are communicating to you. They're attempting to communicate.
Yeah, it's cedar, like a cedar chest. Cedar.
Yeah. Or being in a cedar sauna.
Yeah.
Being protected again by the woods again.
So crazy.
And so everyone wants to make all these artificial, cedar boxes and all this, right? But just go out to the thing and have a sweat. Just have put cedar branches on the sweat lines. It's the simple things that tie back grounding. Yeah. It's the urban disconnection. Like I said, it's what damn near kills me. I'll be very happy to get back away from the civilization, civilians.
Yeah.
In there, because it's very difficult to be around there. Watch that, in there, especially in the city, because the sickest people are in the city, and you cannot help be around that. You're in a survival thing.
Right.
Take that CERN ring or that Large Hadron Collider, or look where your so-called drives are, your freeways that go around you. They've now encircled the camp on each city pretty well, and they can just put that grid up. And that's it. You've got these people contained in that.
Right.
That's it. That's the FEMA camp. Everybody goes, where are they all? It's not the couple, whatever. Every city, every town, every whatever is a FEMA camp. Anything connected to the grid is one. So, and that's the thing is you don't realize this stuff emanates from underneath the ground from these spaces. You're in an artificial jail, and people don't realize that either.
Yeah.
I'm breaking some of that. I'm scrambling some of the frequencies now. Very cool.
Yeah. What like while that's doing that, can you see? Because I'm very curious to what my pineal gland, if it's callous, how much, any calcification or anything.
Actually, just shut it down. I'm just going to reboot it here. A lot of that stuff in here is, again, we'll get the energetic signature. It's a little different. I can go and look at it so many different ways, from inflammation, degree of inflammation, infection, parasitical stuff, that kind of thing, and then energetically. So there's different things you have physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually on it, and then the energetics of it. So like I said, it might be physically functioning, but is it in which dimension too? So I have to look at it. It's not a clear-cut answer to that, so to speak. So it's not just an organ or a chakra function. It's multi-leveled on that. So I'm just going to reboot back up here. Does that give you an idea?
Yeah, mind-blowing idea.
It is for most people. I blew a doctor away yesterday. Every day you can blow one of the top Russian doctors away. But I enjoyed every second of it yesterday. Dancing with me by the time I was done. So cool. Right. And the thing is, I've been sitting on this for so long. I've been doing this for so long, But again, it's just all about protecting things too with the children and stuff too. So what we can do is reactivate different things. I'm just going to go into some different programs now. Okay? So it'd be interesting to see what your mom thinks. Like if she can see a difference physically in you, or if she comes near you, just to see what she notices.
Sensing a different energy frequency, you mean?
Yeah. Where does she pick up on her senses? And again, she's sensing you because she was used to you, or she produced you and such. Now you're different, which is interesting. The other thing will also be is how the animals react to.
Yeah, they're listening.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very tuned into this, their energy and their orbs and their soul spirit of it. So they will be usually really attracted to that, like we do the animals too, but they see it in different realms too. So you start clearing this out, or you start clearing the dogs out. Yeah. Dogs and animals are way easier to do than people, for the most part. So people send us their pictures too, or they'd send us their DNA, or their hair, or their toenail, or something, or hair contains all your DNA. So I used to do people that way too. You know, it wasn't just here. I could also get a DNA touch on them. So I've done it so many different ways over the years. I'm just going to tap back in and do another quick thing here. Anyway, how does that catch you for the night? That's the extent of what I can do, Andrew.
The what?
For weeks trying to. There's time traveling. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Past life stuff. I'll show you a scalar wave. I haven't really done too much. I'm just letting you fix yourself. I haven't like jumped in and done too much right now. What's going on here? Okay. Send some different frequencies. We'll do some different things. This should change again. This is a hormonal thing. Neurotransmitters, like how you transmit. And then I'll do a scalar wave, and then you'll see. And again, we can just do it certain chakras, like just deal with like your first chakra, or there's something coming up, obviously, through your root base.
Feel it.
Your root base is what?
Yeah.
Did your mom notice anything yet?
Yeah. So
What's different?
it's like his aura is different.
How so?
It's more brighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coloring on his skin, not so ashen.
Good.
So that you have to sit by you.
Is this still connected to me?
Yeah. I just rebooted. I'm stopped for a second, and now I'm going back in again. Just doing some other stuff.
Oh, it's really getting hot in here.
Yeah, I'm just playing. I'm trying to rebalance all the transmitters.
Oh.
Okay. Usually I have a lot of stuff like this. This is where people, and they'll do one with a neurolinguistic, but a scalar, and we're going to reconnect you back to the Schulman wave. Because what happens, people are out of balance, right? They're going like,
Yeah.
it's like falling off the planet, right? Because I can't. So I'm going to put you back in. So it's kind of like, you know, that piano thing. Tick, tick, tick,
Right.
tick, 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 right? So I'm going to make sure that you're being able to like move with it. You just want to be like able, like a, you know, oscillate up. Yeah, we might as well have you pretty healthy, you know. We'll clear off as much stuff as we can till we can.
That's what I said.
Probably doing a lot of filming together.
That's what I said.
When I do stuff, I'm just doing the radio show host, or like, you know, now you're seeing what Patty or Dan, or I just deal with the people I'm dealing around with me right now. I do a few other clients, whatever, and that's how I'm getting some of the supplies. But that's part of what happens is that with different people and stuff, and like how people but help one another and stuff like that. It's a huge thing. And the thing too is, like, I realize this is actually it's like the law of forgiveness up here.
Right.
Because really everyone would have been down and we know it. So the people that we're doing right now it's like giving a second chance at life right now. Otherwise they wouldn't be here and they wouldn't make it. And if we don't step and do stuff like this, they are not going to make it.
Right.
Okay. And I'm basically looking at what you're trying to do is get your tribe or our 28 back in our clan. There's only 28 to a clan that came originally. Right? So we want people to be able to find their stuff too, or their clans are where they're supposed to be too.
Can you set the DNA?
This is just getting your boosters back. That's what we call adrenals and stuff. And I'm just going to look at the DNA. So when Patty talks about this 21 chromosomes, or Dr. Richard Bartlett, 21 frequencies.
Yeah.
Right? The repair. So I'm going to go in and look at the repair files. Oh, excellent. It's got music back here. It's just terrible, so I usually keep it down. But I prefer my voice or just actually sweet music.
Yeah.
Other stuff, but this is the DNA stuff. So we're going to start tingling and finding where they are. So those bars represent actually your different chromosomes that they've played with or done stuff with.
Can you turn the camera? That's good. There. Yeah.
So those are running right across, and they're different, spectrums and colors and chromosome things, and you can actually go in and play with people's DNA. Right? They've been playing with all the foods and the GMOs to change your DNA. So
right.
What we're trying to do is find out what the original print was and go back from there. Scramble the signals. Remember, basically there's a draconian, almost like a draconian machine on everyone right now. You're down here. If you're chipped and implanted, there's like a machine like this on you somewhere else for the other purpose. If you look at it like that. That's why people become targeted individuals and stuff too.
Right.
Are you targeted or are you chosen? Or are you going to rise above what's coming up there too? Okay. So what we're doing is, are we going to do something? If they had you on a certain thing, are we going to start doing it, cleaning out, and then start the repair thing again? So we'll just look at some of that. But that's the same thing too. And this is what the telomeres and stuff are. Those chemicals come in, and radiation and everything else, and they knock out the antenna, so to speak. I'm going to do this just for a sec here. This is playing with your 432 hertz. Most people have a really delightful experience with this. This is like open up your heart chakra. And being attached to it, by the way, as opposed to doing it remotely, is only maybe about a 10-15% difference. It's the difference from talking to you on the landline as opposed to talking to you on the cordless or cell mobile phone. You hear us either way. We pick you up either way.
Right.
Okay, so it's functional either way. So you could remote access with anyone this way. So this gets really wild, and you start thinking about Montauk people and time traveling and what really was going on here now in Montauk with those Indians. So, okay. And now I'm just playing to have fun. So I go where I feel directed to do stuff. I feel like being a reflexologist for an hour, I could. I feel like being an aromatherapist for an hour, I could. Now you're going into like what I consider to be my doctor's office kind of thing. Virtual doctor, quantum. I'm a cutie. Quantum doctor. They can have their MDs and their NDs all they like. I'll be a cutie. What happens is that you're stepping in, and I'm getting an overall picture, an overall reading. It's like going in and getting all your lab and all this and kind of looking. And now I'm just kind of going, we'll fix you a little bit this day. Instead of getting an antibiotic and prescription, let's just do some frequency stuff. See what happens, see how you respond, and go from there. So let's say right now we've got some major stuff going. We've got hair loss. What else we got? We got a skin thing happening. We've got some mercury going on we dealt with. So now we know what we can deal with. Now we know what's in there. We may have talked. And it takes hours to get to the root of some of the stuff. This I can do in like 20 minutes, half an hour. at least get a genuine idea of what's going on. You know.
Can you balance the chakras?
You can, yeah, this way. Yeah, you can do all sorts of cool things. And that's what we were doing. We were going through when they were up, down, whatever, closed, and I was doing that. That's what I was doing. Again, it's in a different dimension, but it's about balancing. You balance yourself, but yeah, you can balance yourself on these machines. And again, it's not, it's all fixed. It's not like a wand. I mean, sometimes I've seen some pretty miraculous thing, but everything's interconnected, including that. And there's a whole controversy about really what chakras are and whether you should have them all open, you know, and stuff like that. So, I mean, even the study on chakras, is it really what people have been taught to believe?
Right.
Right? So that's a whole different study in itself, too. Can you rebalance stuff back to what you're supposed to be? So you're putting out the energy and the cues and light. It's the tones. It's not light. It's actually tone.
Right.
Because it's sound. Its frequency is all tone. It's like music. We're all becoming musicians.
And that's what they're doing with EMS.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to let it go. It's about 30% down. Just doing a minute of this. This is really powerful. So you just close your eyes and just open up to this and let's see what you got.
If I close my eyes, I can't see your screen.
That's fine.
Close your
You don't
eyes.
have to look at the screen for a while.
Yeah.
Just take 30 seconds and just feel.
I see it like a flicker.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll just keep your eyes closed for about another 30 seconds. And just remember, the subconscious or your unconscious system receives information 1,000 times more data than you can over the analytical verbal mind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
your subconscious can react to things 1,000 times faster than the verbal mind, and controls the actual energetic, or as people think, their body electric. So when we do this kind of energetic medicine, we have to use this kind of energetics and interface with the actual system itself. And this indeed deals with the deepest parts of the mental disease processes for the maximum amount of medical results. So this is how we can actually truly start relieving a lot of the, you know, our own, because again, you're not doing someone else, but you know, you're dealing with your own, whether there's misery, suffering, disease processes. And that's what people have to do. They have to learn to kind of understand some of this, because right now people have had limited experience in this kind of stuff.
You're supposed to see so many different colors.
What are you seeing?
Yellow, green, red, blue, purple.
Yeah. There you go. I just actually went through something. This color that came up at the end here is kind of a mint green. So if you open your eyes here, you'll see kind of a minty green,
Mm-hmm.
yellowy green. And that's kind of what we did. We ran through the entire color spectrum.
That's what I was seeing.
Yeah. So I went through all 256 or 50 some chromosomic hues.
Yeah, it was like a kaleidoscope.
Ones that you think you see. And they're all tied to enzymatic functions. So you usually start warming up and feeling, because I've just gone through a color chakra.
Yeah.
So that's when I do color meditation with people, because it's very powerful. But we just went through 250 colors opened up right now.
Oh, sweet.
There you go. That's what you're seeing.
Stop
I was
it.
just showing you all the different color hues there, actually.
Amazing. Just amazing.
So a lot of people will start painting things, or they'll start wearing the plants, or they'll start eating their foods, or they'll wear their crystal, kind of like a, you know, peridot or something like that. Right? Then I've had people go paint their bedrooms that color, and that's what they do for the next 3 months, or they go paint their kitchen that color or something. Right? You bring things in that you're trying to stimulate, or, you know, you've been eating a lot of kind of celery / avocados for a while. And again, that's testimony to you. You don't need to look at something to see it.
Right.
You're looking, but are you seeing it? You know, that's what insight is, having insight or clairvoyance. You don't require the outside. You can, you know, that's why people that are blind can actually feel or taste or feel the color. They don't need to see it.
Right.
Okay. So now that we've blown your mind, you're okay? Oh, I can just show you this too. There's the blood. I don't think I really did too much of that, but this is actually doing blood. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I don't like taking drawing blood. It's just too, whatever. And this is a lot of fiber and stuff still in the blood. This is leaky gut. That's still what's in the gut. Like I said, it could be the coffee and just the train. It's still pretty acidic in there, toxic. This is the blood you read. It's the same thing as iridology. So that's why every nutritional cell sort of thing in there. So I bring that back up. If we went and examined your cell, but under the most powerful scanners we can, satellite-wise, not just in the hospital, that's what it would look like to us. And that's pretty similar to what you can see under an electron microscope, but only with a live cell microscope, not in the hospital strap. And so that's indicative of your bowel. That's, again, like your iridology. Just this is your bowel, and it's still all leaky gut. Still, again, a lot of, it's probably the acid in the mucus. So the copy is actually, at this point, still reinforcing the infections. So we can do blood stuff too. I can do like live blood cell. You can hook things up to here, and don't think I can't hook up that little transmitter. I can do dental probes, aromatherapy probes. I can do water partners. I can actually plug PHoils and devices into here too. You know, like microscopes and stuff too, if I had to. So right now I'm like a portable MASH unit, very much portable. I can be a hospital replacement.
Yeah. Is there any other deficiencies that you can fix, like the magnesium and potassium or stuff like that?
Yeah, you know, like I said, stick it in your animal water. I'd start maybe flip into an alkaline water system in your animals, doing it that way. And again, once you repair it at the root-based chakra, it's the main line. It's not an IV. It's one system. You can hit all the 16 systems in the colon. It's better than dialysis. So if we had everyone doing dialysis instead of going for blood dialysis, and they started doing colonics, you wouldn't need the dialysis machine. Yeah, so even doing blood and stuff too. We can do all sort of cool things in here. And for those people that think they have to remember it all, we got a built-in library to this. So if I really wanted to go into the filing cabinet and see, oh, what was this again? Okay, he's got symptoms of anemia. It kind of guides people that are like when they're first starting out. Because with us, when we have to go into stuff like doctorate levels in the universities, I mean, you do. You've got anatomy and physiology. It doesn't mean you have to do it right now. But it's a common language, you know. And the machines are designed so that you're only going to do yourself or the people that you'll be doing it. It's like law of attraction. Kind of basically law of attraction can do anyway. They're in the field. That's why for the most part, I don't have to go look for clients or anything or different people. I just wait to see who shows up in my field. If they're approaching in, because we've already got it. So they're just tapping into that vision that I hold already.
Right.
It's James, it's you, it's whoever. They're holding something, they come in. And can they hold it, or can they hold their shape, or can they hold that, you know, what they're supposed to be doing? You know, like I said, in here we can go through a lot of different stuff and just see what's changing, what's going on. Like I have to do, I'm going to actually alkalize your system. That's actually the most important thing to do right now. Because it's not alkaline. It's just like there's too much to cell. It's got like a moat around it. The cells walls are too thin. Okay, so I'm going to penetrate in and start giving you baking soda from the inside out. And it just speeds up your healing. So if you've done someone that's broke a leg, rather than being 6-8 weeks, they could be up in like 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
Okay, so you're just speeding up the healing process. That's all it is. And that's what I did. Like I triple broke my ankle. Okay, I didn't use the hospital. Because all they offered me was like, you know, DVDs, like DVTs, like a deep vein thrombosis, like a clot. Amputation, not walking, being in a wheelchair, surgery, anesthetic, possible implants, and anything else, right? And they told me I'd probably never walk again, probably. And if I would have done this, because I broke it on one side of the ankle and two on the other, it was a triple fracture. Even when I saw, you know, an X-ray, they said, "Oh, that's so-and-so." How are you even walking? Because usually what it does is when the surgeons, they know it's locked into position. But because I did matrix, I did healing, I did beyond Reiki, I did all the oils, did my own mat, and did biofeedback on it all the time for about 6 weeks. I never went to a hospital and had surgery. I never pinned it or did anesthetic. And right now I can dance better. It defies the medical system. It is a miracle. It was done with me and my friends. I was the pet project in the kidneys and snacks. And I hung from a ceiling with a rope for about 5-6 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. But what it does is it brought everyone in the area to me. So after 2 weeks of getting through my little trauma and it turning black, I learned how to totally triage on the spot and not use medical systems. And not that I'm against the medical system, because I'm not as a nurse. So there are some great things within the medical system. But if you know how to do it, you're not in it. You're not going to be using it.
Right.
The backup, yeah, there are things too that x-rays have a certain limitation, their blood work has a certain limitation, their diagnostics have a certain limitation. And not that they're bad, because they're available. And to me, it's about access to technology. We should be able to access everything and having it free. Because even where people perceive they're working all day just to have a roof over their head and put some food in their mouth.
Right.
That's not, you know, any kind of a life. And this is fifth dimension, so I cannot really take this to the hospital and expect you to have the same lab values. You won't get it because it's apples and oranges. It's like men are from Mars and women from Venus. We have a different set of values because we're doing it in fifth dimension, which they have no, you can't correlate it. And so you can actually pick up things like before they happen. So I've had clients where they've come in, actually my old medical nursing instructors at the college of nursing, whatever we did, SCIO there. But what happened is that there were different things too. We've seen where people, it said the first number one thing was, you know, dental loose crown. And there's nothing wrong with me. This thing doesn't work. Or it doesn't function right. And then she phoned on Monday to apologize to me because her crown fell out over the weekend. So we found out something was not doing, something was about to go, and it happened. It may not be what you think right now, because it might pick up the disease. You're heading towards that disease, so it might say, well, this is your chromosome, that's what you're doing. It doesn't mean we can't change that gene expression and that you don't have it and you don't pass it on. Because you remember, we passed everything on to our children.
Right.
Your byproduct of your mom's and your whatever it was. That's a huge thing. You know, that's where you change to who you are and really not. The soul imprint is more what I think. So that's where you can do some cool things and do like alkalize again, and I've used different things like all-in-one things and go to raw foods. Get off the animals. The animals are the worst thing ever. It keeps you in the lower down. It's like having a parasite infection because the animals are within you now.
Even like shrimp and
yes, yeah, they're the highest concentration of radiation of toxins of anything. I mean, you can go back even in the scriptures and they tell you do not eat that. About gills and hooves and stuff like that, but besides that, it's radioactive.
Yeah.
No one makes anything out of the lake or out of the water or out of the grass because it's all radioactive for the first 4 feet, and that includes the water. So radioactive. There's no saline in there. In fact, when you eat them, they take stuff out of you. You cannot cook the plasma out. You cannot cook the nanotechnology out. You can blow up the whole planet right now, which we could with the nuclear, radiation incident. And then flooded the place like Noah's flood again.
Right.
These things still survive. You cannot cook them out at 450 degrees. It's impossible. You can't even microwave them out. So the idea is to do it properly in the first place. Eat to live. When you eat cooked or animals that are dead, it creates decay. It creates disease. The other thing too is it keeps you into blood. So what you're eating is blood. That is genetically connected to us. So I don't know. Do you realize actually what pork is? Do you realize what bacon is?
No.
Did you know it's part human?
No.
That's why they can do transports like that. So when people are all goofing around with the chimera projects and in the lab and creating some of these animals that you see. Just like people are created in vitro. A lot of this was like chimera projects through the NCBI and human genome and stuff. So those are actually part human and part boar. And that's how you go to pig. And that's why they can do transbalance. If they're going to go for any animal, they go for what? Pig. If they go to do Botox or something, okay, because you're genetically connected to it. And less likely to reject. So this is why, and from a quantum point of view, because of the blood, it keeps you in a warring state. If you want to say like Cain and Abel, like peace and war, it keeps you in war. So when we keep you out of that war food, and we flip the word to raw, that's why people go raw. Because in your mind, you still hear things backwards. You haven't had your own internal pull shift. You'll speak in male where we're trying to speak female to you. Okay? That's reverse coding and reverse speech. And that's what's done to you. When you're taught to spell, you're taught to read left to right, upper, lowercase, all capitals, capital punishment. Okay? That's not how you do it. We used to go the entire other way, or up and down. So everything in your world has been turned upside down, inside out, backwards. And so we're trying to speak in an original language to people again, even within the confines of what we have to deal with, so that we have some sort of communication or common ground or language. We're trying to bring you back into a noble language and a noble way of living. That's way beyond the royalty. I mean, gosh knows they've had their day. But that's a huge thing. And that's how they kept people. The people that run the planet would never eat an animal. Right? So when you start thinking of what the raptors, reptilians, and everyone's grossed out by taking people and eating them, well, you're doing the same thing.
Right.
By eating an animal or eating the animals that have been fed children in them. And make no mistake, that's what they grow them up with. I don't care if you say free range or not or whatever. There's in there. When you know the original peace, we want to say agreement, treaty, covenant, or whatever on this planet, contracts, whatever. That was to leave everything at peace. And not to interfere with their species. And so by interfering or killing them, you're part of the processing. And that still goes back to the 10 Commandments. Do not kill. Thou shalt not kill. You're still paying for that, whether it's a third party or not. So in the quantum, it's huge. And one of the best books that does this is Gabriel Cousins, probably Rainbow Cuisine, or there's a book that's called Spiritual Nutrition. Every is seeing, everyone that knows that. And the other one is Dr. Will Tuttle. It's called The World Peace. It should be Live It, but they call it World Peace Diet. But from the quantum level, it's huge. You know, and you putting something dead in your mouth. And again, we're taught that as children, right? Here, have some dead Heinz bananas. GMO'd for you. Right from the time the children arrive, after they're on breast milk. Right?
Right.
They're trained in generation after generation, right? Right. I mean, when my mom started, I mean, it was like, all of a sudden, they could be on Valium. They could be like, whatever. They were great enough. It was like Leave It to Beaver and like Happy Days anymore.
Yeah.
Everything had to be modernized, right? You know, my mom used to wash everything and starch everything, right? You know, it's like the Brady Bunch.
Right.
But then what happened is all of a sudden it's not good enough to have breast milk. It's like, no, you gotta have formula. And then we don't have the bonding, then we don't have the hormones, then we don't have whatever. And every time she listened to them or go get the vaccines or whatever, I'm amazed I'm still here, quite frankly. If I would have been on that path, staying as a nurse in the hospital, I'd be dead. That would have assured my death. This allows for some flexibility. That's not my modality, because I know quantum physics, and I actually know that it's beyond wrap the school where you can live, 150 years. There's people that live 150, 200 years on this planet right now. There are women in their 80s and 90s successfully having babies like they were 16-year-olds.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Now.
The 79 Indian woman.
Hunzas. Yep. Very young when we started looking at the ninja and the ninja red and the wolf berries, or as you call it, goji berries. Those women are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s and having babies. And I've known about it for decades. Right? And they're protected. Like Anastasia, those women of the Rus in Siberia, or the Bear Clan women, they were protected. They were up in the Tonga, up in the things, away from everyone else. And it's not that they had a harem, but the Garden of Eden is protected. It's in a closed, sacred space. You know, and we're just releasing the information now. That's why everyone, if you get the Ringing Sieges Russia, I mean, that's the best series ever for anyone to get, like a tiny little book. You can read it in like 1 or 2 days, each one.
What's it called again?
It's called The Ringing Cedars of Russia.
Okay.
Russia means, it's not a country, it means to know. So if you want to go back to the original people that know anything on the planet, that's what Russia means, or Rus, and that's why their thing is the bear clan. Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. They keep all that information still. So all your ET information is usually headquartered up there.
Well,
and if you see what's actually starting to come now, look what even, not that they're doing all correctly, I'm not saying they're kicking out Monsanto, shutting it down, no vaccines, going for arrest warrants, stopping the money, and giving the women actually all their sacred acreages back.
right.
Is in Russia. Now Putin's, whatever, but those men are turning things back over into a matrilineal thing. And by law they have to. But the women have to know what the law is, so you can't go up and get your land back. you know. And until we get a little bit more exposure and a little bit more backing and a little bit more women standing up and doing it that way, you know, the women have been, you know, like my mother and stuff, and their mother, they went into legal contracts and they married with the third party being the Vatican. What they kind of did is they just dissolved the Vatican contract of it. Because they were considered chattel or property of the Vatican, whether the men knew it or not. But when you both signed the little legal marriage thing, everything belongs to the Vatican. Everything you do belongs to the Vatican. The children, everything, the car, whatever, belongs to the Queen, the Vatican, and Obama. And so we did about 2 years to dissolve all that. So now people just have to wake up and just get back to getting some land and gardening, getting off the grid.
Right.
I can't make it any more free than that. That's like having a second chance.
Right.
And do what we can for the internet with the people that we can and where we're supposed to. That's it. But in the gated communities or the protected, like you want to say national parks or wherever it's going to be secured, there's going to be none of this. That's what we'll have our motherland security in place for. Right? There's no smoking, there's no drinking, there's no alcohol. It's like you got total beyond freedom 55.
Right.
It will be only the people that are at peace that want to be there. If you can think of all those like angelic beings, like an angel, whether it's up there or in here or in Agartha, you couldn't bring the people in that are doing what they're doing here.
Right.
And nor, quite frankly, after I just kind of inherited this mess, I went, I wouldn't let them out either. I don't think they're ready to go out to the other galaxies and planets either. I wouldn't want these people infecting there if this was my responsibility and I'm told to babysit them.
Right.
And, I mean, just think of it though. Elizabeth was a really bad babysitter.
Yeah.
Right? That's like Carrie. That's like, you know, Freddy Krueger. I don't know what it is, but that's not the way women are. Again, what happens because they've been treated like this and they were imprinted, and remember first night rights, they were already infected from the time they were children. Not to make excuses, it's not acceptable, but it's not allowable and it's arrestable too. At some point we come up to a point to know what we're doing. And that's the difference too. So that's part of it. So if people want to heal, you want to get this thing back and like, you know, biotin and stuff like that. And I've seen people regrow their hair. I've seen everything happen. That is part of how we do it. And the veganism is being from Vega, Lyra. That's the heavens. You want to get up there. You want to get into the extraterrestrial stuff and get, you know, what people consider to be soul travel, free travel, off planet. You'd have to be able to follow those laws. And we're not bringing anything down that isn't agreed upon in the galactics. But gosh, if people can't follow it here, how are you going to do anything with them? And in here, when I looked at your chromosomes and stuff too, like when Patty goes to check and the human genome has gone to check people, that's what they're doing for DNA checks, is they're trying to see who's got anything left. Right? And because there are people, robotics that are walking around with any soul that we don't know if they're alien, clone made, or what the hell they already were. I mean, even with the guillotines, the way they're talking, like with Patty and stuff, I get it now. Because what happened is that they're robotic computers that are being remote like a drone. So they've had someone that looks like a human, but they're actually a drone, a clone drone. And so the only way to shut them down completely so they can't redo their uplink in the computer, because what they're doing is they're taking the soldiers and people in children's minds, and they've taken the children, given them basically a frontal lobotomy. They've injected and killed the frontal cortex. And so what they're doing is they're running these people remotely off in a lab from somewhere else, like an avatar. And so their avatars are here, but they're somewhere else in a lab, like a drone. And so the only way you could stop that is to shut the drone down here. And stop the computer, like the radio, like the wireless uplink, because they're being wirelessly done. And the only way to shut down the wireless memory chip or the uplink would be to actually, that's why they got the guillotines ready. So people that are in natural law there's nothing to be worried about really, right? But we don't know who's who right now. You know, there's too much when you've got 200 and some species and alien species that were allowed here that aren't allowed here. I can barely keep up with the first 57. I have to read about the other 150. And it's like having a parasite infection. You deal with the basic candida and everything else, and E. coli and strep and staph and botulism, and then the other ones, they're all going to get cleaned out by the same oregano anyway. It doesn't matter anymore. But this is what these aliens have brought. These are all the viruses, bacteria, and the candida. That's been passed to you from alien infection. And that was passed in through the first night rites, and that's from the kings and their men and the Dracos sleeping with the women. And that goes back many centuries, many, many generations.
Right, yeah.
And now we know about it. Now we can do something about it. But the oils are actually, they wipe them out like you have no idea. Frequency. They just don't like being around you either. So that's why I want to really concentrate on that. And that's why it's really important to do that.
Right.
Like I said, there are so many cases. I mean, even your mother could be used as whether they realize it or not, they could be abducted, put in, they assume they're pregnant.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's all pre-planned because everything's watched. So, now that I know that. So, yeah, even though they think it's a natural, does not mean that someone's not in vitro and implanted very easily. And from what I'm seeing, it's more and more and more. And there are many women that are being used over and over and over again. So they actually have got some breakthrough bleeding because they give them some anesthetic. So they don't remember, like date rape, scopolamine and stuff like that.
Wow.
Ecstasy and stuff. So I used to see that in the rape thing. So women would be raped or used for these purposes all the time. They really don't have any memory because it's like being put under general anesthetic. But sometimes you have some breakthrough on a different levels. I'm dealing with lots of women like that. You'd be amazed. This is just not, I have a vision of paradise, but this is not quite matching it yet. We're on our way, but, and I got to think that a lot of the soul traps have been starting to be removed right now. So we got a lot of great ET help here coming in. Also, a lot of these super soldiers are coming in now. Because they deal with stuff interdimensionally, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they want help too, so.
Right. What is that doing?
How do you mean?
Is it still running or what's going on with that?
Yeah, you could go in. I can go just pick on something like that. It says right now, like wound repair. I could do wound repair for whatever. It can go as long as I want it to go. If someone's dying, I'll just do it. Or if there's a certain issue, I might go after that issue. But right now it says there's some wound repair, which means there's something in the skin.
What is that?
Like there's a wound, it's picked up. The skin, the dermis, the epidermis, the epithelium, and all that.
No, I mean, what's on the screen?
Those are frequencies and stuff too, but back here you can't see it. It's a tiny little piece of skin.
Oh, wow.
It's like a wound. Yeah. And these are just, again, frequencies generated. Right. It's like cymatics to you, sounds. I just have it shut down. But there are things too, like if we want to start doing things, let's say like eye stuff with people, we can actually start doing different things like with eyes to stimulate the third eye or pineal gland and stuff like that, or start having you do visualization, different exercises and stuff too.
Can you stimulate the third eye?
Yeah, you can, but you got to do things one thing at a time. It's just,
I know.
We just can't say, I just want that third eye open. Well, everything's in order too.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is what it does. It tells us the order to fix. So, we can concentrate on some of this stuff here. And so part of it will be also sometimes training stuff for doing people with third eyes. Like I know just to get rid of my glasses right now, I'm doing different things again, like the Bates method or stuff like that. And then you can start concentrating on different things and closing your eyes and things like that. So it's not just in or out or two. But, like I said, there's only so much you can take on, sessions too.
I know.
You got to remember, I can't go too heavy at it because if your bowels aren't there, they're still acidic. Till we get that lower root chakra back into place, right? You can't keep releasing everything or open all the third eye because it's been blocked off with all these toxins, and then you've got nowhere to drain it out. You'll just self-intoxicate again. So I do things in a precarious order too. You've got to do it in somewhat of a fashion.
as much as we'd like to do everything all at once, but that's part of it into there too. And so, like I said, we can look at everything. We do as much as we can in whatever we can do. Just the fact that maybe get some fungus, because this fungus that you're dealing with in here has got that in there. Get the essential oils, maybe shift your thing. There's a pinworm thing going in there. There's a fungus thing. And remember, you're touching everything microscopically. It's affecting everyone in the place. And the same thing, they're reinfecting. So if you're all living together, everyone gets done. Everyone gets alkalized. Everyone does the same program. The cats, the dogs, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's got to be a whole thing.
Right.
Children could have enemas, things like that. Dewormed. Things like that. Yeah. So that's part of the thing too. And that's why I give, especially the women, like if, you're staying, or your mom or whatever, or their wife or whoever's there, that kind of thing, or their girlfriend, the women really have to learn, and the men, to uncook again. So they need to get retrained, because they were repeating things that they learned in home ec or passed down from their mothers.
Right.
Okay? And again, train. It's like going to home ec. Well, again, home economy, home economics. We need to look at stuff, how you get free. So free food or free energy is superfoods or raw foods. That's free food. There's no economy in it, because you're getting all the nutrition freely dispensed through you. So that's part of it. So that's why I give people nouveau raw. And look how easy it is. That there's going to be eventually no time in the kitchen. We can do it with a couple blenders and everything else, and a dehydrator, and I'm done. I don't need the oven. I don't need that, because you're doing basically like solar cooking as a dehydrator. It's not anything more than a light bulb, like an easy bake oven.
Yeah, I have a dehydrator.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
You relearn that back again. And so we realize that milk does not come from a cow. If you want something similar in taste, then we get a handful of nuts or a handful of, whatever I did. I've got walnut milk here. I've got walnuts here. I've got almonds here. I've got hemp seeds. And I've got, what else do I have? Cashews right now soaking. So I throw in a handful of nuts and a handful of water, and I got fresh milk. And if I want some vanilla tasting, or I want some xylitol, or I want it sweeter, whatever, there's many options. So we learn to do things differently.
Okay.
There's no killing. There's no farming, there's no grazing. Remember, everything for animals, we can't sustain the planet unless we go into veganism right now. It won't sustain. Because everything is being grown to put back into the cattle, which eat the grass to start with. And then they turn around and they kill it. They destroy it. We can't have it. And every disease process comes from the animals. It's cross-contamination. That's what GMO or transhumanism is. It's changing you into the animal. So when I pick up the snake venom, or the reptilians, they want you to turn into a reptile. Well, they also want you to turn into a cow. They call them goyim. They're the human cattle. They're eating the cattle. The cattle. You have the same law classification. That's why they kill the people. They kill the cattle. Right now, there's too many cattle on here, as far as we're concerned. And that ties down to the George Guidestones, everything. So the thing is not to be part of that classification. And as strange as it is, that's the transhumanism. That really is. It's the people have genetically modified themselves for the most part. Again, processed. But it's just a different way of doing it and a different approach. And it's so easy to make the transition. Especially for women, if they like to do cooking, well, it's a new fun recipe to do. And then you make it your own. But like I said, it's very simple. And with a lot of guys, a lot of the stuff we do is dehydrated in powder. And we have to now start feeding people with essential oils and these kind of powdered foods. Otherwise, it's pre-digested and it's super loaded. And we'll have to feed you almost 30 times to 1. Because otherwise, people won't do it. Yeah. They won't be able to make the shift. They won't have the nutrition. They won't have even people are being controlled right now, mind control, up here.
Yeah, let me probably stop recording this.